The platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club in this extremely busy 9th week of Term 4 continues for you now into Night 4, the penultimate night of the penultimate week of the final term of proceedings for 2025. And we stand out at the HockenheimRing in Germany, of course, formerly home to the German Formula One Grand Prix, the German Motorcycle Grand Prix, and also a German round of the World Superbike Championship. But these days, it's pretty much exiled as far as world motorsport is concerned. You'll see some local and domestic European motorsport taking place there, but certainly not the international stuff for whatever reason. However, that doesn't stop us from enjoying the 4.7 kilometres of this circuit in all its glory. It doesn't stop us from jumping on in to enjoy what is one of the great tracks on the calendar. And it is the scene and setting, as you can see there, 4:50 local time in the afternoon. Excuse me. Just struggling a little bit with the frog in the throat at the top of the broadcast tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That bodes well for the rest of it, doesn't it? But yes, even though it's not as prominent on the world stage, it's one of the traditional stops of the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club within the iRacing server in any given year. And yes, we've already seen some action here throughout the course of the season, but not in Disruptive Labs GT4. That is the assignment tonight. Good evening, everybody. Zach Caban alongside Matt Schmidtke. Doubling up this week, the pair of us. I was here filling in for Dan Yeaman last night. He's here for Daniel Correa tonight. Welcome to Thursday Night Motorsport, live, exclusive and free across Facebook and YouTube. Of course, we're getting set for what will be an awesome night of racing. From here, we take it to Sebring in Florida, and I'm looking forward to that for very obvious reasons, for the penultimate round of the PanTek Industries Porsche Cup. This is match point number 3 of 3 for Andrew Dyson in this series. Let's show you why, ladies and gentlemen. The championship points will tell the story for you. Dyson on top, 371. Guy Leach, 268. Jeff Adams, 261. And Richard King, 246. Good battle for second unfolding there. There's no doubt about that. Adam Lavis on the stone's throw away on 238. 225 for Sam Chapman. Jackson Rayhana, Craig Bond, Moz Moroz, and Brett Barker, the top 10. Moz is going to cop himself an invoice tonight because he's listed there as a McLaren, but he's aboard the Porsche tonight. It's that point of the season where if you're not in championship contention, you really don't care if you get half points, full points, whatever. You're just there to make up the numbers, essentially, and to get the value for a dollar out of your membership with this club. Matt Schmidtke, good evening to you. Epic what we've seen from Andrew Dyson so far this week. He can go out and make it a triple treat tonight, secure the hat-trick. We're racking up some impressive numbers here, and they're all going the way of DPR Racing. I'm particularly looking forward to seeing how this plays out, because this could well mean that 44% of the available championships on offer, 40% of the available championships on offer and 44% of those that are broadcast, there is a difference, will be wrapped up before we even get to grand final week. It's extraordinary.
Yep, it certainly is. And of that 40%, Dyson has 3/4 of them, or he's about to. But I find it very unlikely that he will.
And of course, actually, I should even further correct myself. I'm going on the notion that we only do one broadcast on a Friday night, but I didn't cancel out the 2 that we don't broadcast on Tuesday night. So it's 7 that we do broadcast, and 4/7 we're looking at 17s, aren't we? So yeah, 16s. 16, 32, 64, 96, no, 15s, 14s, somewhere around there, 14%. So 14, 28, 30, 42, 56% of our championships will be wrapped up before we even get out of this week. It's just extraordinary. Moz Moroz and Andrew Dyson, the front row here for the penultimate round of GT4. Michael Adams, Jeff Adams from row 2, Stephen Ball, Brett Barker from 3, Richard King, Guy Leach from 4, Wayne Losh and Adam Lavis from 5. From 6, it's Craig Bond and Paul Wood. From 7, Sam Chapman and Tim Ward. From 8, David Baz and also Derek Fitzgerald. From 9, John Baldwin, Bevan Moyes. From 10, Shane Beaumont and Justin Kehia. Small field tonight. Cam Southall from 11. Alongside him is Will Ramsden. From 12, JD Denton, Edward Rollo. Brett Selbywood makes up the field. Whether he takes to the grid or not remains to be seen. Cars representing all 6 different manufacturers out there tonight by the look of it too, ladies and gentlemen. 6 o'clock in the evening. Now, make note of the date, right? We're in that beautiful part of the year that is daylight saving in Europe. We've gone back to May 28 instead of November 28. May 28, 2026. So hang on, we've gone forward. We haven't gone back, we've gone forward. The server has been vaulted into the future. May 28, 2026. That's the first time we've had that in a server this year. 2 minutes past 6 in the evening, 3 km/h winds. We're in a southwesterly direction, 23 degrees the ambient, 29 on track, dry conditions, and of course 0% chance of rain, 41% humidity. So let me just crunch some numbers here for you, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, 14.28 is the official number that I was looking for. So if I'm going to times that by 4, yeah, 57.14% of the broadcast that we focus on with our respective championships going to be wrapped up this week. We could get technical and say that we do still have 3 GT3 titles up for grabs, and we do. And 2 Porsche titles and 1 supercar title. But let's be perfectly honest, we're talking about the outright honours, and there are legitimately, of the 7 categories, 4 championships have already been wrapped up. It is extraordinary stuff, and that is if Andrew Dyson can consolidate and hold on to his 103-point advantage tonight. Even if that isn't the case, he's got 55 points to fall back on should this become a drop round for whatever reason. Barring that, he's also got 90 points up for grabs for the win next week with the Enduros. So all possible equations and scenarios are pointing in the direction of an Andrew Dyson title one way or another. It's just a matter of whether he goes out and signs on the dotted line tonight or not. Moz Moroz, that was an impressive qualifying performance from him. He will lead the Mustang to green. Jeff Adams from row 2 alongside Guy Leach and Michael Adams. We're getting set to rock and roll at the Hockenheimring. Let's go to work. Brett Barker has opted to start from pit lane. I'm not sure why. Barker has started from pit lane, drops down from 6th position on the grid up to down to 24th. Edward Rollo has been able to get past as a result of that. Will Ramsden's got by JD Dent on the opening lap, and so far clean to turn 2. As I say, this circuit, legacy, to finish the point that I was making earlier, I just got tongue-tied. The legacy of this circuit, the legend of this circuit, thankfully, even though now more just prominent in the real world in Europe, we don't see it as much on the world stage as we used to. Thankfully, it lives on in the sim world on the world stage here. Good clean start. Moroz has lost out to Dyson. Dyson has gone through to the lead. Not mucking around here. Might be a little bit disappointed that he didn't get the bonus point for pole. Doesn't need it. His main opponent is Guy Leach. Now, let me just have a look. Guy's sitting down in 5th at the moment. So the way things stand, if the race was to end now, if the checkered flag was to be thrown, that's it. Game over. Dyson's the champion. So just going back to the mathematics of it all, Schwicky, I said, and I've remained adamant on it for 5.5 years. Maths is not my strong point, and I've just proven why tonight. But that's okay. To have, I guess the only disappointing thing out of all of it, yes, we're going to have, the GT3 titles decided on Monday night, but we can only watch one of them at any given time. The same for the Porsches. They're an all-in race. The supercars, the dev split still on the line going into next week. That's all good and well too. But I guess the main disappointment is that most of our champions are going to be crowned in the penultimate week. It's a good thing in some respects. It's a change of pace. It showcases and illustrates and highlights the dominance of those guys throughout the course of the season, and it is a credit to them. But it does, it does make it a little bit harder to sell next week as grand final week when, as we say, 4 titles are going to be already locked and loaded.
Yes, certainly will make it interesting next week. Dyson will be able to go on the longest victory run of anyone around, I think. I don't know anyone who's picked up that many titles before the last week of the season.
The left-hander, Mosmoroz, sitting there in second at the moment. Mustang, Porsche. McLaren in fifth. This is very good too. Guy Leach sits there fifth place. Aston, Richard King, eighth. There is a BMW out there in Bevan Moyes in 14th. John Baldwin riding the only Merc in the field tonight down in 16th. So the good thing about this field is even though it's thin, based on where we were at the start of the season, we do have all 6 manufacturers represented. That's good news. Adam Lavis on screen there, 7th at the moment, up 3 spots. Paul Wood up 3 spots as well. Craig Bond, Sam Chapman, both up 1 and 2 apiece. Brett Barker's slotted back into 21st position after starting from pit lane. Tim Ward on pit lane, not sure why. Cam Southall, the last runner in the field at the moment. Most of the field you're seeing there, plus in terms of the positional gains and losses, but a lot of +1, -1 within the top 10. -1 for Stephen Ball, Michael Adams and Mosmoroz. Guy Leach, the big mover, from 8th up to 5th. Adam Lavis from 10th up to 7th. It might be 6th here on the exit. No, better run for Stephen Ball. Richard King in behind. Paul Wood and Craig Bond up. So Paul Wood up 3 spots as well, but -1 for 4 drivers in the top 10, +1 for 1, 2, 3, and +3 for 2 at this point in time. 40-minute race tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's an out-and-out fight through to the checkered flag. No invert grids to assist anybody here. That strategy will come into it because there will be a compulsory pit stop. And as we saw last night, Schmitty, I mean, wet weather at Imola shook things up quite nicely in the supercars, but we will see a variance in strategy here because in the next 5 minutes or so, we'll be getting to that point, that critical number in which these guys can stop and get home.
Yep, we certainly will. It'll be interesting to see who takes the early stop. Maybe try to get out of some traffic and run some clean laps, or who tries to run it down long and see where they end up after everyone else's pit.
Good and fair, you can believe it. I've had I've had a retro throwback to the Lithgow Kart Club in 2005 being sent my way this evening. Yes, 2005 in Lithgow. And I've been tagged in this because I've got someone recognising me in the picture and I haven't yet picked me up, to be fair. I can see 3 or 4 others that I know, but not me. A, it's a senior field and I was still in juniors at the time, and B, I can't quite pick up whereabouts on pit lane I was parked at the time, whether I'm in the background or not. So that'll be interesting throughout the course of the night. Let's have a look here. That's Bevan Moyes on a mission at the moment, up 5 spots. Guy Leach is up 4. He's just got by Michael Adams as well. The things that happen when you're live on broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. How's your Black Friday shopping going, everybody? Are we all cashed out yet? Are we all tapped out? Big money being spent this week in the lead up to Christmas and other things. I know some of us, me included, are looking at it as a tax-deductible expense because I'm doing a lot of work purchases at the moment. But yes, there's been a lot of man-hours spent on getting ready for this time of the year. I look at it, Schmicky, as a double-edged sword, right? Yes, you're a little bit annoyed about how much you've actually spent, but then you go and compare it with how much you saved, and you feel a little bit better about life.
Yep, that would be good. I've kind of got the opposite of a Black Friday deal currently. I need to contact iRacing. They've automatically renewed my subscription at full price when you get a 25% discount with the Black Friday code you have to put in, but because it auto-renewed, because I didn't get to it yet, they've docked me full price for it when they could have just auto-applied the discount for me.
That's it. And that's the thing. I actually caught someone out on that the other day as well. I went and bought the... I'm still one of those people that buys movies on Blu-ray, right? And I probably shouldn't be, but still, you know, it beats having to have an Apple TV subscription just to be able to watch the film online. The F1 movie's released on DVD and Blu-ray, right? So I went and bought that. And old mate's like, oh, yeah, that'll be this much, Mr. Caban. And I'm like, no, it won't be because it's 30% off. Your discount store says so. Your online website, you know, there's the price ticket there, 30% off DVD and Blu-ray. Oh, okay, somebody hasn't put that into the system. No, exactly right. And I'm not about to cop that $9 invoice as a result. So, no, you've always got to be careful this time of year. It can be easy to trip up if you're not on your toes. I was just saying to Schmitty before we got going, ladies and gentlemen, I've been out doing computer shopping. Looks like I've finally reached a point where we're just going to pull the trigger and spend the coin and make it happen. So exciting times there. A new broadcast system for next year and looking forward to that. Hey, there's David Baz in 14th. Anyone entertaining the idea of pit lane as yet? No. Tim Ward, the only retirement so far. Everybody else still out there having a run around. Adam Lavis has just been passed by Richard King. He's moved up in the 7th spot, and Adam Lavis will try and get him back on the exit and does so. Nicely played. Richard's now vulnerable to Sam Chapman, who wants a piece of it as well. Chapo up the outside, trying to get the toe from Adam Lavis. Careful, boys. Don't run each other out of real estate here. Down the inside. Hello to Sean Benetti. A very good morning to you. In fact, would it even be morning over there in Alaska yet? It might still be the later part of a Wednesday night. Going into Thanksgiving, of course, in the United States. So happy Thanksgiving to all of our American viewers. Chapo has got by King. That's important to note. Chapo set that up nicely, all set up by the fact that Adam Lavis was able to get by King and Chapo was able to borrow the toe. There it is, just hit midnight. Yeah, 18 hours the difference. There we go. Chapman. I've said it so many times before, Schmidt. I get nervous when these two have each other's company on the racetrack. It's gone pear-shaped in the past. Chapo's in early. Chapo's going early. Now watch the pit entry here, folks. It is easy to trip up on pit entry. Chapo hasn't. He's avoided that. But someone is bound to tonight because it's very similar to Mexico City in the sense that anything above that white line on pit entry, good luck, goodbye. So let me get my pen and paper out now because, as I said, I'm only crunching the numbers based purely on how many races we're showing next week. But so let me clarify this for everybody at home. We have 186 series. We have one for each of the dirt series. That's Tuesday, Wednesday. We have one Skip Barber series. We have one IndyCar series. We have 3 in GT3. We have 1 Trans Am series. We have 2 in Supercars. We have 1 in GT4. We have 2 in Porsche. So in total, we've got 10 broadcast. We've got 7 broadcast races. We've got 10 slots for racing. Does Joe still award a Mountain Men champion as well, Matt Schmidtke, or is that not something anymore?
Yeah, you still get the top 3 for Mountain Men, so there will be one awarded there.
So that's 15. So if you count the splits within the servers of GT3, of the Porsche Cup and the Supercars, that props it up to 15. 11 servers over 6 nights a week, but 15 championships. And as I say, 4 of them that I know of, and I say that only because I'm not yet across the information for Tuesday night and also Friday night's Skip Barber offering, all Mountain Men. I'm not across those points, but 4 of them are going to be wrapped up before we even get to the final week, which is, so that actually makes it look a little bit better. It's still 57% of the broadcast offering for next week, in which is a dead rubber, but it's only 4 of 15, so you're only looking at just over a quarter.
Yep, that certainly is a lot. And just, I've looked up the Mountain Men points, and you'll never guess who's in the box seat in number 1 currently.
A. Lavis?
Nope, he is second, 287.
Okay. M. Schmidtke?
Ding, ding, ding. 2 points ahead, 289.
There it is. Very nice. Very nice. Car of choice for Saturday night to be determined via a wheel spin tomorrow night, boys and girls. Hope you can join us for that. Sorry, I'm having an absolute shocker tonight because I couldn't wrap my head around the mathematics off the outset. But I knew what I was trying to say. I just couldn't articulate it very well. There is Michael Adams in 4th place. And again, getting a little bit sidetracked with this time of the year so busy that I'm trying to work everything around work commitments in sense of your part cleaning up your house and your belongings, your part throwing things out, spring cleaning, that sort of stuff. Your part rearranging, your part packing and organising for the holidays, your part Black Friday and Christmas shopping, yeah. So I've walked into the commentary box at about 6:30 Eastern tonight and thought, oh crap, I haven't did it yet. So that was a quick pies and sausage rolls job. And then jump into the broadcast booth flying a little bit blind, plus the PC was playing up just a little bit before the broadcast got underway. And we've got a storm overhead, so it'll be interesting to see if the power doesn't, of course, cut out throughout the course of the next couple of hours. Pit stop's underway too, folks, so you'll see that popping up on your totem pole there. Some of the pit stop relevant information with regards to who's transited the lane so far and who has not. The best place of those to have done so at this point in time is Jeff Adams. He pitted on lap 7. Brett Barker's back in. Richard King's been in. Sam Chapman's been in. You saw Chapo go in. David Baz and Bevan Moyes have just gone in on lap 7 as well. Will Ramsden and Brett Barker at the end of lap 8. Still Andrew Dyson in control, but I'm impressed with the hurry-up that Moz Moroz is giving him. A world of difference for Moz with the Porsche as opposed to the McLaren. I wonder if that was by accident or deliberate, the selection of the Porsche tonight. Guy Leach in 3rd. Now, that's important because relevant to Dyson, Leach is the only one we're really keeping an eye on here. And if you have a look at the points, yep, sure, Jeff Adams is another 7 points back, but Jeff doesn't have a drop round to play with. So Jeff is 110 behind before he even starts. If Andrew Dyson was to, if Jeff Adams was to have a botched result tonight or next week, he hasn't got anything to fall back on. Leach does have a 22-point round to fall back on if he so needs it. But yeah, because Andrew Dyson's in excess of 103 points clear, and there's only probably a maximum of 105 available next week, it's game over tonight irrespective of what happens next week, because Dyson, if he was to score 0 next week, Matt Schmidtke, and get the win tonight, he's guaranteed a minimum points haul of 55 points no matter what happens next week, because that's his best drop round. That's quite a season, isn't it, when you're racking up those sorts of numbers on a Thursday night?
Yep, it certainly is. He's done extremely well. He's just kept it clean in pretty much every race. Not made any little stupid mistakes like some of us do.
There's he who is leading Mountain Men at the moment.
Yeah, well, I've been trying for, I don't know how long I've been here, but I've been trying to pick that one up, and maybe this is my season, but 2 more rounds to go, and Adam is very, very good and very consistent. I either do well or end up in a fence somewhere.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even bother trying, to be honest. It wouldn't end very well for me. Dyson, Moroz, Leach, impressive from Dyson. What's he gone with livery-wise tonight? We haven't really analysed that one yet.
Looks very similar to last week.
Yeah. Something from the Peters stable. Did I see the Peters logo down there? Yes, I did. Yep. Okay. Well, last week it was 7-11, wasn't it?
I'm not really sure, actually.
No. See if we can't get a side-on shot of that car, please, Matt Schmidtke. I'm interested now because I can't quite pick up the logo. Let's see as we can pick him up down here. Only 0.7 the margin so far. It's not the old Billabong, is it? The Billabong ice creams, are they still a thing? I'm not sure. I've got no idea. So this is lap 11, based on a 1 minute 46 lap time. So that's 1 minute 45 and 2 is 3.5. It's a 40-minute race. You're looking at 23 laps tonight, folks. You're looking at 23 laps. Reason for that, right, just to appease everybody before they start. Like 1 minute 43, so 1 minute 45 is the threshold of which I'm calculating. 1 minute 46.8 is the current fastest lap time from Andrew Dyson. And yes, there's going to be a little bit of carryover time, and I understand that. There'll also be a transit of the lane, which may also derail things. It will be, I'm confident that it's 22 minimum, 23 maximum. And it will just depend on transit time and race pace. Because at this point, if I'm rounding it back to 1 minute 45, 1 minute 45 and 2 is 3.5, 2 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. And that's 8 laps, four laps every 7 minutes. 3 times 14 or 7 times 6 is 42. Take one away from that, and you're still past the threshold finishing time. Now, this race can run as far as an hour, as a minute and 45 seconds over if it has to, as long as they get that white flag with 2 or 3 seconds to go on the clock. So there's a lot of leverage in which to get that 23rd lap in. Now, making note of the fact that we're about 2 seconds off that 45 pace, that might be about the only thing that brings us undone. That might deny us the chance to get to 23. So settle on 22 and act surprised if we get to 23. From the mathematical standpoint, hopefully I've been able to make enough sense of that one for you. I don't feel like I'm making much sense with anything else I'm saying tonight, Schmidtke, but I hope I'm making sense with that.
Oh, speaking of pace, we can actually look at everyone's average pace. So this is the
Excellent.
fastest. Let's see what we've got here. So Dyson is the fastest, but Moroz is keeping him very honest, only 0.03 behind him, last 5 average, and then everyone's not too far off still, within a second, except for that Sean Beaumont down there.
It is. Oh, Shane Beaumont, yeah.
Shane, yes.
In 11th. Now, Cam Southall and Will Ramsden, what's happened there, please? They're on pit lane. They have been for a little while. Ramsden for 3.5 minutes. Southall for 1 minute 32. I feel like we're going to get a couple of retirements here. And even more so, you're not going to believe this. So Will Ramsden's just pulled up and said, that's it, I've had enough. I need to alert your attention to Jeff Adams in a moment. Because I don't know what happened to Will Ramsden, but Jeff Adams... Sorry, I don't know what happened to Cam Southall. That's what happened to Cam Southall. There you go. Back in the DJ livery. Craig Bond in and out in 12.42 seconds. Jeff Adams has been to the pit lane a second time, and it cost him 1 minute and 16 seconds. Now, what has transpired to necessitate that? As we've gone past the half race distance here, ladies and gentlemen. That's an interesting one for Jeff Adams, and that puts him out of contention. So what I was saying there earlier about him not having a drop round to fall back on, right there. That's what I mean by that.
Oh, he has got some big damage there. I didn't see that pop up.
Massive damage for Jeff Adams, and his race is run. He's out there, and he's going to make up the minor placings for the moment. He won't go down a lap as long as he can stay ahead of Andrew Dyson. But then again, he's too far. He's not too far ahead of Andrew Dyson on the racetrack as we speak. The only thing that will save Jeff Adams there is that he shouldn't have to stop again between now and the end of the race, whereas Andrew Dyson, Moz Moroz and Guy Leach will. So it's an interesting one because Adams was third in this championship race. He's now vulnerable to Richard King, who is 13th and second best placed of those two have stopped already. And Adam Lavis is only 8 points behind that. So this title is well and truly alive in the battle for the minor placings. Guy Leach won't catch Andrew Dyson at the moment, but by staying where he's at, he's going to do himself the world of good in terms of staying ahead of Adams, King, Lavis and Chapman. And there goes the first crackling of thunder in the next round of Southeast Queensland thunderstorms. You know it's loud, Schmitty, when I can hear it above what are allegedly noise-cancelling headphones.
Yep. That's got to be some loud thunder then.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't cut the power, because I kind of need to stay here with you and commentate GSRC competition. If I have to get the OB set up, the old radio set up plugged into the laptop, I will. Oh, that's what's happened to Jeff.
There we go, yeah.
Oh, wow. Hefty hit on the exit of the arena section. Crunches up the front end. Comes to pit lane to grab the repair. Now, did he not have a fast repair up his sleeve? Or has he been slugged for a wrong entry into pit lane?
He did toe, so that would be the toe time.
He did toe. Oh, that'd be the toe.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, he didn't get it out of the gravel trap. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. 25 minutes gone, 15 to go. Cam Souther, Will Ramsden, Brett Barker and Tim Ward, the retirement so far. Brett Selby Wood, the non-starter. Dyson continues to lead at the end of 14 laps. The question is, what is the critical lap? Is it lap 12? Sorry, lap 16, lap 17. We wait and see. Get the hamster wheel out. Yeah, exactly, Tice. Yeah. In fact, I'm surprised we don't already have to have that out full time, considering the time lapse that we live on up here. Being 112 years behind, I'm a little bit surprised that we don't have that old school technology still in operation, quite frankly. Sorry, did I just go there? I did, yeah. No. I might get in trouble for that. Some of the locals up here don't like it when I have a crack at them about the outdated manner in which they live their lives. Dyson Moroz, there's some good battles still forming. Adam Lavis has just got by Wayne Losh for 6th. We were watching Paul Wood there, chasing Richard King and Craig Bond is right in behind them. But there's Lavis, there's Losh. Losh to the outside. Contact. They definitely run panels there. Losh goes through. Brilliant from Adam Lavis to apply the pressure and keep him honest. Looking to get the run up to the stadium section. He'll be on the inside, will Adam, but no, he tucks back in and yields. Make a note too, ladies and gentlemen, and Schmitty, you better make a note as well. We start 20 minutes earlier next week. 20 minutes earlier on a Thursday night and also on Monday night as well. Everything starts earlier Monday and Thursday night on broadcast next week because we are here for the final time, and that means a longer race for the Toyotas on Monday night and the GT4s. Next week for us, our assignment, if you thought this was a bit processional, folks, and it is, Christ, there's the second crackling of thunder. If you lose me temporarily, Schmitty, I'll be back with you, don't worry. Geez, we've had some doozy of storms so far this season. I have got no view of this one. I'm only relying on what's coming through in the earphones. But next week, yeah, grand final week. So 45 minutes for the Toyotas, 45 minutes for them, and they'll be going through Mount Panorama for that one. 60 minutes for these guys from the Circuit de la Sarthe. at Le Mans in France, and that both of those should generate big grids, big interest, because they're so well liked, those two circuits. I'm a little bit, as I say, I'm a little bit disappointed. I mean, Hockenheim probably for mine, Schmitty, and I was thinking of this on the way in. And as I said, it's a legendary circuit, and it's steeped in history and tradition, and you know, a lot of us absolutely love driving around there, me included when it was on the PlayStation games. Love the Hockenheim circuit. But in terms of the way it lends itself to good racing, it doesn't in the long-form mode. It is a far better sprint circuit.
Yeah, I think you might be right. It is. You can get some passing done here, unlike some circuits. It's not the easiest track to get it done on, but it's easier than some tracks. But yeah, I think the more fast-paced races do work a bit better here.
Into pit lane comes Guy Leach and Adam Lavis. Here is Sam Chapman. Best placed of anyone to a stop so far. Round onto the main straight he comes. Lap 16 has come and gone. We're on the lap 17 now. Oh, and still the cracklings and rumblings of thunder. 10.5 minutes we said, didn't we? For 6 laps. And there's 10.5 minutes to go now. You know what? These boys might yet make a liar out of them. They might yet just get it to 23 by the skin of their teeth. Depends on, I guess, pit lane transit and also how much time you lose by not being bang on that 1 minute 1 minute 45 marker. It might only be 1.7, 1.6, 1.5 seconds. That all adds up over 22 laps. If it was the round 2, it'd be 88 seconds. But they've now kept the pace steadily in the 46s for quite some time. So here comes Andrew Dyson to the start-finish line, round the final 2 corners now, and onto the main straight. Lap 17 is done. This is on. This is definitely on. My gut feeling is that it's still 5 because of the time you lose in the transit of the pit lane and also the stationary time. So the transit and the stationary time are what tops this over to a 22-lap race for mine, Matt Schmidtke. Because the stops have been around about that 12-second marker so far. And everyone in the field has now stopped with the exception of the 2 at the top, Andrew Dyson and Moz Moroz. There's a black flag for Bevan Moyes just quietly. Edward Rollo and JD Dent yet to stop as well. We're down to, actually no, I think Bevan Moyes' charge is done. He's got a black flag, but it might be a mechanical. He's on pit road, has been for a while. So that'll be 5 retirements and 1 non-starter. So 19 drivers eligible to score points here. Jeff Adams, the last placed of those at the moment. If we go 23 laps, just 75% race marker. Let's just crunch some numbers here again, folks, because I want to get this right. 22 minus 75% is 5.5, so that's 16.5. But if we go 23, it's 5.75 laps. So let's just minus 5.75 from 23. It's 17.25. And that's where it gets interesting, Schmitty, because then you would have to complete the 18th lap to be classified. So it's essentially 3 6s are 18, another is 24. Even though it's not 24 laps, if it's 23, you need to complete that lap just to get yourself home. Conversely, if we're talking about it being 5.5 away from 22, we're talking 16.5 there. So you would have to complete 17. That's the difference. The goalpost moved by a quarter of a lap, but you've actually got to complete an extra lap.
Yep, and Dyson and Moz just come out the pits and they're a fair way ahead of Leach and Chapman here, are having a bit of a battle. One of the few battles on the track here. Oh, very close for Chapman there, almost got into the back of Leach there.
This has been a good fight back, actually. This has been a good run from Chapo. Through the field from position number 13. He won't have been happy with qualifying, but he'll be bloody delighted with his race pace as he makes his way down the inside now. Will he make the move? Will he make the lunge on Leach? Yep. Chapman is third. Chapman is third. It helps Andrew Dyson's cause out so much more. The 2 litres stopped at the end of lap 18. Still Moz remains within 1.3 seconds. Chapman, Leach, Adams, Losh, King. Oh, King and Wood are scrapping it out as well for position number 7. Woodsy's going to go through. King gets him back. The very next corner being the left-hander. And more suited, more favourable to the car on the inside. Dyson, Moroz, Chapman, then Leach, then Michael Adams, then Wayne Losh, then Richard King. Forward, Craig Bond, Adam Lavis, Edward Rollo, John Baldwin, David Baz, Justin Kahir. Oh, no. Edward Rollo on the tow rope. Edward Rollo on the tow rope. Here's how. Has he just run out of juice?
Yeah, I think he might have.
Jeez. That's unlucky. Really unlucky. Brad Rollo. But that's going to be yet another retirement in this race. That's now a quarter of the field that we've lost throughout the course of the 20 laps so far. Here's Stephen Bull making the run. Stephen Bull to the outside and gets by Justin Kahir. Can Kahir go deep under brakes and grab him? No. Bull went deep. Bull sweeps round. Bull will hold the spot and consolidate it nicely on the exit. You get a much better exit off the outside of that corner. You're too bogged down, the narrower you go. That was nicely done by Stephen Bull. Hopefully we'll see him in action in the open wheelers tomorrow night. He's been good there this season. Andrew Dyson. Andrew Dyson. Yep, that'd be right. Andrew Dyson is going to get us an extra lap. We are going to go to 23. He's going to do it by about 10 seconds. As I said, 22 was a safe bet. 23 was a maybe. It just depended on race pace. The race pace is with Andrew Dyson. We shouldn't be surprised, therefore, that we're going to go an extra lap here, a lap of overtime. And I said 23 pretty much confidently from the outset. But then the race pace at the time wasn't there. They were in the very low 47s, not the high 46s. But the fact that they've got back into the 46s, plus the pit lane transit for these guys was quick. It was a 9.4 stationary plus the transit. That's what's going to get us to 23, and it's going to be by about 10 seconds. You watch next time through by the line. If we were anywhere near the 38-minute and 15-second mark, they'd throw the white flag. It's going to be about 38 and 5 or 38 and 10. So Dyson will just eke this out a little bit further. And he'll be 2 laps from home, 2 laps from glory. Two to go. Barney's not flying the white flag yet. He got there with just a little over 2 minutes to go. Just trying to work out if I've done my maths wrong. No, 145 and 2 is 330. 2 is 7, and there are 6 sevens in 42. So, no, we're absolutely right. It's just that the race pace has enabled us to get home with an extra lap. And we're not going to complain, Schmitty, because we much prefer to get better value for our money, get an extra lap in at iRacing's expense rather than ours. That's a good result for us. Anytime we can have a little bit of overtime on the house. And it gives Moz Moroz the opportunity to have one last crack at getting by Andrew Dyson here. But knowing the way Dyson's operated this week, he would love to wrap up this championship in this manner. Puts the icing on the cake with a race win. He's already snagged the win in the Toyotas this week. He's already snagged the win in Trans Am. Why not snag a win in GT4 and therefore then secure yourself the third and final piece of silverware in the process? Came in with 3 live chances, had essentially a match point this week, and does not need to ask for the second match point. Last turn, white flag, 1 to go. Fairly formidable and dominant. Impressive season. When you look at GT4, and let me read out these statistics for you. He was in the McLaren in week 1. So like Moz Moroz, Daiso got sick of it, but just did so a lot quicker. A win in round 2, a win and a third in round 3, a win in round 4, a double win in round 5, a win and a second in round 6. Second 2 weeks ago, second and first last week, won the round last week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 round wins to his name this term. This will be number 6. Those numbers are Dench-esque, Hobbo-esque. Think any other formidable dominant force of the club. Merritt, Lavis, Chapman. I mean, all the guys that have dominated a series in one way or another over the course of time. Corey Lazarus, Sam Muir. They're the sorts of names that he's in the company of right now, Andrew Dyson. It has been clinical from first until last. It has been a pleasure to watch, a privilege to commentate. Now that he's only a quarter of a lap from home, we're about to see him claim title number 3 of the week, of the term. And that'll be 4 championships wrapped up before we even get to grand final week. And how nice to go out and get it done on match point number 1 and not have to go through the motions and reset and try and get it done next week. The pressure is off, the weight's lifted, the job is done. First it was the cake, then it was the icing. Tonight it's the sprinkles on top. Andrew Dyson's done it again, ladies and gentlemen. This time in Disruptive Labs GT4. Champion on a Thursday night in the entree slot. DPR Racing and their main man complete their hat trick. It is unbelievable. He has been unstoppable in the entree slot so far this term. And he can go and celebrate 3 championships for the price of 1. 1 term of racing, 3 titles, 3 completely different cars and disciplines. And Daiso has dominated. Moroz in for second, Chapman third, Leach Gallant fourth. Michael Adams rounded up the top 5. Richard King, Paul Wood, Craig Bond, Adam Lavis, David Baz. Then John Baldwin just outside in 11th. Stephen Ball, Justin Keir, Wayne Losh, Derek Fitzgerald has got by Wayne Losh on the last corner. Wayne Losh has had a moment on the last corner, and Wayne Losh is going to limp home.
Out of fuel, I think. Maybe.
He's out of fuel. He's not going to limp home. He's not going to get home. Wayne Losh is out of fuel on the final corner. Can you believe that? So Adams will come through and finish 15th. Leash on the tow rope. Beaumont 16th. Dent will come through. They'll both pass Wayne Losh. Losh will end up retired on the final lap. He'll still be classified, but in 18th. What could have been 14th. Tried to limp it home, had no fuel, had no drive. Day done. Wayne Losh is done. He was trying to shortcut the circuit to get home. See, there right there lies within the problem. We were talking about whether it was going to be 22, 23 laps. It was 23. It was 23 by a good 20 seconds. In the end, as I said, I just couldn't crunch the numbers. 147 is always just an awkward, uncomfortable sort of number for me to try and pinpoint. One of the other reasons I hate this circuit, actually, I love it as a track to drive when I'm on the Formula One games or whatever. I hate it from a calculation standpoint with the cars that we bring here. And again, the quality of the spectacle is always tenfold better when you go sprint racing and you invert the field and you actually force the guys to get the elbows out and go overtaking. We didn't do that tonight. There wasn't too much in this in the way of life-affirming, stimulating racecraft out there, let's be perfectly honest. I'm glad we got that over and done with. Now we can focus on Sebring and wake everybody back up again. Dyson, the winner from Mirage. Chapman, Leach, Adams, King, Wood, Bond, Lavis and Baz, the top 10. That was a good fight from Moz Mirage, probably driver of the night for mine, but to trade from the McLaren to the Porsche for the privilege, he will cop an invoice in the term of half championship points coming his way. Half of the compliment will get slashed from the account. Good recovery from Chapman, up into the podium, up from 13th on the grid to 3rd. Good charge, good hustle. See, there's someone that didn't mind getting the elbows out and overtaking. Paul Wood up 5 spots, so too David Baz. John Baldwin up 6, and Justin Kihir up 7. In the end, with Edward Rollo getting back out there, that was something I did miss. We had just the 5 retirements and the 1 non-starter. Bevan Moyes, Cam Southall, Will Ramsden, Brett Barker and Tim Ward. Good to see Bondi in the 10. Adam Lavis as well. And Adam Lavis, when you think about Jeff Adams' woes, that's good for him. Richard King, I need to just remind everybody that he finished 6th in all of that, so he might have done enough to leapfrog Jeff Adams tonight, who was 15th. 9 positions. That margin is only 15 points. I think it's 2-point gaps between finishing positions once you get down to that depth of the field, so it'll be very close. Neither of them with a drop round to fall back on. Adam Lavis 29 points to fall back on, 15 and 14, but he won't need that with the finish that he's put together tonight. 9th. Craig Bond in 8th. Remember, we only pay down to 25th position as well, folks. But it's not a concern tonight. Everybody that finished scores points all the way down to Edward Rollo. Oh, there you go. Thoughts on all of that, Matt Schmidtke?
Good stuff. There was very few crashes. Everyone raced clean but hard for the most part. There's some good passing by some people. That one by Chapo at the end of the hairpin there was a very authoritative move. Got it done and then got out of there.
Indeed it was. Earlier, of course, I mentioned that storm that was passing through. It was just crackling and thunder. No rain attached to it. It's a weird and wacky part of the world this is to live in. I'll give you the tip. Very strong, powerful sort of band of rain, but it's missing Ipswich. It's smashing Greenbank and Logan, but it's just bypassed straight through Ipswich. We haven't seen a bar of it. Batten down the hatches if the rain is approaching you on the storms as well, folks. Been a wretched start of the storm season. But we're looking forward to, hopefully, clearer weather in due course and fine and sunny and stable sort of conditions like it was out there tonight. Again, I feel like this is a... Daiso's summed it up perfectly. Better come say hello. Absolutely. It's a sense of deja vu, ladies and gentlemen. It's wash, rinse, repeat. We had this conversation Monday night. We had it last night. We're having it again tonight. Daiso, well done. The job complete. The assignment complete. The goals achieved. 3 from 3, and you did them all on match point number 1. We always wonder, we get nervous sometimes for you guys, wondering if you're going to stumble over the first hurdle or first obstacle and have to come back and commit to, you know, evaluating, recalibrating and going again second time round. No need for you to do that. You've taken the first invitation. The job is complete. Well played.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was just another race where we could go out and have a bit of good fun. So some good racing there with Moz. Moz was really fast, man. So it was pretty good.
Moz has also done your trick, right? He's seen the light a little bit too late in the piece. You, of course, ditched the McLaren after week 1. He's taken until week 8 to do it. We were a bit surprised when we saw him in the Porsche tonight.
Yeah, McLaren's not too bad, man. Like, Leach out there is doing pretty well in it. And I reckon if I stuck with it, I could have done okay. And I reckon that, man, the Porsche was really good under brakes in a few spots tonight. Even last week, actually, I reckon it was. Like, on the way into the corners, and it's a point of difference. I think the Mustang's pretty fast in the straight, but it's a little slower into the corners. So, yeah, they make their speed in different ways, and I'm sure the McLaren does slightly as well. But I only drove it once, so I can't really tell what's good or bad about it. But, you know, looking at some of the setup shops, like one popped up on like Instagram the other day where they compared all the lap times for GT4s for one of the weeks, and they were all within 2/10 of each other, so they're all really close, these guys, and it's just a matter of how they get around the track and where they're fast and where they're slow compared to each other that makes them pretty interesting to race.
And that's the interesting thing too, mate. I mean, when you look at next week, you could, if you wanted to, go and have an experiment with the McLaren just to see if, you know, those gut feelings are true. See if there's anything in it for maybe turn 1 of 2026. But I get the feeling, given the poke that the Mustang has, that's going to be the best car to be in when we get to Le Mans.
I'll probably at Le Mans, yeah. It's I reckon it might be pretty good there, but we'll see. We'll see, man. I'll definitely tune it down and run zero wing just for a bit of fun, see what happens. I'm sure everyone else will do the same thing, and see how it goes. But it would be interesting to try one of the other cars for sure. I'll think about it.
No, you've got nothing to lose now. As I say, you can't lose the championship. Whatever happens, you've got 55 points sitting there in a drop round capacity that can just be flung onto the current point score, whatever that may be, after Adam crunches the numbers. So, yes, mathematically, it's all been taken care of. How would you have handled that? Hypothetically, entertain me here, because we haven't had to have this conversation, but I think there was maybe 1 or 2 instances in which, you know, had things gone afoul, we would have been having this discussion. And that is, what would have happened to your game plan, to your, mental capacity with regards to... I'm trying to nail the word, but I've got a pounding headache at the moment, mate, so bear with me here. But just in terms of that stimulation, that confidence, that adrenaline that you run on when you go racing here, what would have happened to all of that had you not ticked the box tonight, and you would have had to have reset and come back and have another crack at trying to secure it next week?
Well, I had a similar situation a while back in a NASCAR league where obviously, you know, these NASCAR leagues, if they ran to like the real type of racing rules and everything, it comes down to one race, and that's what happened. So we're at Phoenix and we're racing around in the Cup cars, and all I really decided to do was just go out and do the best I could. There was no point going out there and forcing anything to happen. If you end up in a situation where it's one round, winner takes all, you can't go out and force it. You just got to do the best you can. Yeah. Every corner, every lap, all those sorts of things, even in qualifying, and whatever happens, man. You can't go out and force it. You can't just brake later everywhere. You can't just pick up the throttle earlier everywhere. You can't do all those things. You can't just bone up the inside of someone and smash them out of the way either. You just got to go out and do the best you can without trying to overdo it. That's probably what I would have done. That's what I did tonight, the other night anyway. So.
Yeah, and I guess that's the most pleasing thing about your performances so far throughout the course of the season. Yes, Moz kept you honest tonight, and he should be applauded, because that was a great drive to go to second, only 0.68 off the victory. It's the closest anyone's come to you since poor old Jackson Rayhana a few weeks ago at Interlagos, right? And that was the pivotal point of the season. That was the moment where everybody stood up and took notice and thought, oh crap, this is Daiso's championship to lose, and we're all just here racing for second. that's been the one thing that's impressed me so far throughout the course of the week, mate. The plan of attack hasn't changed. You've gone out there, you've attacked each race on its merit, 3 different cars, 3 different disciplines, 3 different racetracks. It's a lot to wrap your head around, but do you feel like a weight's been lifted, the fact that you've been able to tick all the boxes this week?
Not really. I think the boys will be happy, but I'm just, it's cool to say, yep, done it. That's pretty cool, but not really a weight or anything. It's just, yeah, it's something to be proud of, I suppose. It's not easy. I mean, I suppose half of it is at least rolling up to every race and having some good races along the way. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's not really a weight lifted. It's just something to be happy with, and we'll go on and do it again. And same deal, same mentality. Just go out and see what happens.
I'll run these numbers past you as well, because Matt Schmidt and I were crunching some numbers, and I was doing very poorly with my mathematics, which is nothing new at the top of the night here. And I was trying to work out how many championships we've got across the course of the week, right? There are 7 broadcast races in every week, but when you include the splits for GT3, the supercars, the Porsches, I mean, that obviously increases the total. There are 11 slots dedicated to racing on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. There are 15 championships, right? So of the broadcast races, you've won 42% of the championship offering of the 7 categories. That's before you split it up into different series within series. And you've won 20% of the 15 titles on offer this term. Which are extraordinary numbers, and I think it's one of the more dominant seasons. Matt Schmidtke might remember this. I can't remember the number or the year, etc. But Matt Dench came in one year, Dicer, and he carved up. He won GT4, he won GT3, he won Porsche Cup. He did the triple treat there. So it's very similar to that. Now you're joining names like, I mean, you're in great company already. You mentioned John Merritt last night. There's another one. But now your name rides alongside some of the greats of this club. And you know the depth of this club, the fact that we've got everyday races, we've got guys that race on the international stage, we've got guys that are on the rise within our borders. How much pride do you take in that, the fact that your name is going to be joining such elite company like the Denches and the Corey Lazaruses of the club?
Man, I think those guys have probably raced in some series that are a little bit more competitive. I mean, without disrespecting everybody, I think it's pretty obvious, like GT3 stuff in this league.
Yeah.
People put a bit of time and effort into that, and it's pretty competitive. Yeah. Particularly the Porsche Cup. I mean, a lot of guys put some practice in during the week, and they really put some effort into that. They're probably a little bit more competitive. I think if you were to win both of those in one season, even just those 2, it'd probably be better than winning the 3 that I've done. So still pretty cool, but yeah, I mean, there's some pretty competitive stuff in this league, and I think those guys have done, I mean, especially Matt, did a pretty good job to win all those things that he did, by the sounds of it. Yeah, because I think that those other categories that are a little more popular, you get a lot more folks that, not just, fast all around, but the sort of guys that put in a lot of effort, and they really try to one-up each other, and that just drives everybody on to be even better all the time.
Pit strategy was pretty simple tonight. Run the tank dry, come in, top up and go again. There were a couple of guys that got caught out. We were rumming and ahhing about whether it was going to get to 23 laps or 22, but your pace improved ever so gradually. We got to 23 quite comfortably in the end, mate, and the pit lane transit wasn't anywhere near terribly long. But it would seem as though that was the strat. Run the tank dry, quickly top it up, and then go.
Yep, pretty much. I tried to be as economical as I could, knowing that when you've got a car that's up your clack the whole time, they're probably going to be doing a pretty good job at that with a big hole in the air to chase through. So I knew that Mos was going to be looking pretty good at it. I tried to do the best I could in a few different spots. It was hard to actually save a lot of fuel off the backstretch, which is probably the best spot to try and do it, be economical anyway. Off the backstretch and really roll into the braking zone, because Porsche was so good there. If I had done it too much, he would have just passed me without even trying. So I had to really try and rush in there, and I kept overdoing it all the time. So yeah, I had to challenge myself and try and be as economical as I could in a few other spots. But yeah, tried to shorten up the pit stop time. We were pretty even in the end. So yeah, that was basically the strat.
I was going to say, don't sell yourself short on the other thing either, because to win that Toyota 86 series, given that it's got a bit of a reputation for being, Dodge and Car Central, especially after Imola, to escape all of that and get through clean. You've done very, very well. What now for Andrew Dyson, mate? I mean, obviously there's still the 3 dead rubbers next week to come back and try and put a little bit more of a second layer of icing, if you like, on the cake that you've already got there with 3 championships on it. But then what after that? Are you happy with these 3 championships? Do you look and go, maybe it's time to give yourself a different challenge, a different category to focus your energy and attention on for 2026 and the opening term within?
Yeah, I'd love to get involved in the later races. I'd probably need to just sacrifice a bit of sleep, I reckon, for at least one of them in a week. So if I could jump into some GT3 stuff, that'd be cool. Try and get some of the boys to do it, because sometimes when you do it by yourself, it's not that much fun. So if we can rally some troops to come and have a race in GT3s, I know Dan's pretty keen on that stuff, and Joshy. So if we can get a few more guys in there, we can do it. It'll probably motivate me to try and stay up late and do the later races. But that's something I'd probably like to have in mind, if I can do that sort of stuff. Otherwise, I'll just roll up to all these races during the week and see what I like, what I don't like. We'll see what's coming up. I'm sure it'll change. It won't be the same thing. So there might be some things that interest me a bit more. We'll see how we go.
Very nicely done. Now, the other point we should make there too is that Le Mans next week is 60 minutes. So just make a note for that in your diaries, everybody. The race starts at 7:30, not 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. I don't think a one-race format was the right formula for this circuit. Specifically, Daiso. I think Hockenheim lends itself better to sprint racing, and that was certainly reflected in the way in which the field spread out, with the odd exception, you and Moz, of course, being particularly close throughout the course of the night. I guess the only thing that didn't go 100% according to plan for you tonight was qualifying. He pipped you.
He did, man. He followed me around qualifying. He did a really good lap, and I thought, I could probably still get it. And I actually got a little bit of a toe-off guy, but I still wasn't good enough. He did a really good lap, so I couldn't get there. But yep. Man, just talking about the field spreading out, I didn't expect that either. I thought with this big, long straight, a fair bit of draft, it'd be really hard to break away from people. I reckon there might have been maybe a bit of dirty air in the middle part of the track that might have hurt a few guys, and maybe brought some tyre temps up or something like that, and made it harder to make passes and things. So maybe sprint racing was the go for this track tonight.
Indeed, and I mean, obviously Le Mans, it's only appropriate that we go further, longer, faster around there, mate. It is a home of endurance racing. 60 minutes, that'll be a nice test for you guys to round out the campaign.
Yeah, long one. We've done some long races in GT3. I did a couple ones. I did the one at Phillip Island. Once you do one pit stop and you start focusing on when you're going to stop next, it goes pretty quick. So I'm sure there'll be more than one stop, depending on the fuel tank size and all the rest of it. If we have the same fuel tank size, we'll probably have more than one stop. It'd be good if we did. It's pretty interesting to get some mix-up tracks like that. We'll see what happens.
All right, mate, very nicely done. Looking forward to seeing what comes of grand final week, or in your case, on Monday, Wednesday and Thursday in the entree slot at least, dead rubber week. Although we shouldn't poke too much fun at that, because there are some titles still on the line. And there are also, of course, positional battles beyond first place still firmly on the line as well. Jeff Adams is here to have a chat about that in just a tick. But before I let you go, Daiso, well done. The hat-trick is yours, mate. Who do you want to thank?
Yep, just everyone in the club who puts the whole thing together. Thanks, everyone, for putting all the hours in during the week when it comes to the broadcast, with you guys doing it, a few other folks. It's a lot of time spent. The least we can do as drivers is jump in and spend 5 minutes to have a chat about how we think our race went. So thank you guys for doing it. Appreciate it.
Well done. DPR Racing's Andrew Dyson, ladies and gentlemen. 3 championships in which he was the points leader coming into this round. 3 championships in which he has an unassailable lead in the points race going out of week 9. He's the champ in Trans Am, in Disruptive Labs GT4, and in Waste Options GR86 Challenge. And he's done a magnificent job. 3 from 3, the hat-trick. Dominance, the likes we haven't seen in quite a while, which speaks volumes of the competitiveness of the club, but also the dominance that he's enjoyed throughout the course of this season. Well done, mate. Let's have a chat with Jeff Adams before we get stuck into the Porsches. Jeffrey, that didn't go to anywhere near according to plan, I wouldn't think.
No, I think I crapped the bed on that one, didn't I?
not helped by the fact that you didn't have a drop round to lean back on either.
No, it's definitely I've definitely made it hard for myself. But that's it's where you got to stay on the track. I sort of try to salvage some points and manage to come in 15th. So I still got some points on the board. And if I'd just sort of quit, I would have lost everything. I would have got nothing. So you just got to keep your head down and just keep you cool and keep chugging along and hopefully collect some points at the end of it.
Indeed. And speaking of points, your teammate Richard King did grab some points still. You were, of course, trying to hold on to third in the championship. Haven't done yourself too many favours there, but it's going to be a genuine 3-horse race next week, isn't it, between you, Richard and Adam to secure third in the title race. And maybe even, depending upon what unfolds over the course of the hour, Guy Leach not entirely out of reach just yet either in second.
Yeah, I definitely left it to the last minute. But I think Sam Chapman, if he pulls out a race like he did tonight and last week as well, I think he might be in for a mix as well, because being that it's an endurance, there's 90 points on the board, and Andrew Dyson doesn't have to turn up if he doesn't want to. Just hint. Just yes. So, but congratulations,
we're already aware of that, yeah.
Andrew. But I like feel free to have the night off, and we can maybe get a couple extra points for myself.
The interesting thing about it, mate, is Dyso played that beautifully, didn't he? We talk about his dominance in the Toyotas and the Trans Am, but GT3, he had 103 points up his sleeve going in, and even had he crapped the bed tonight and left with 0, he was getting 55 back. So chances are he was still going to be in an unassailable position going into next week. It's been an extraordinary season from him, and I guess that now is where the benchmark is, where the goalposts are for you. That gives you guys something to aim for going into not just trying to finish the season on a strong note next week, mate, but also then recalibrating and getting ready to go again in 26.
Oh, definitely. It's always good to have a goal to aim for, and Dyson set that bar pretty high. So I've always enjoyed chasing, and it's definitely lifts the whole field. The whole field benefits from it. It's like, you got to learn from the guys in front, and if you're not learning, it's definitely not, it's not any benefit to yourself. So you really got to try and take in as much as you can, watch their fast laps, like take on their, their lines and learn as much as I possibly can from him. That's the goal anyway. And, there's a lot of fast guys in GT4 and across GSRC in general, right? Like you hit on it, and, you really got to, hats off to the fast guys, and you really just, put your bum down and try and see if you can catch them.
Talk to me about how you guys go about preparing for Le Mans next week. 60 minutes, tough slog. And I guess Dyso can throw caution to the wind if he likes. If he wants to come up and have a fang in something else just to see how it stacks up to the Mustang, good luck to him. He's got nothing to lose. You guys, however, not in that luxurious sort of position. And we know how treacherous the Le Mans can be, but how rewarding it can be as well. How do you go about preparing for that next week?
Oh, well, my teammate Richard, he's in an Aston and I'm in the Mustang. So we between the two of us, in one sense, we can't share our tunes, but we can also share our times. And Richard and I were pretty close in most of our our performances. So it'd be a good sort of litmus test to see, okay, is the Mustang fast here? Is the Aston fast there? Or is he just going to run down the straights? It'd be really interesting to see how it goes. I genuinely think that Aston's probably got good gearing for Le Mans. Not sure. I think the Mustang's definitely got some horsepower, but you got your AMG's definitely going to have a bit of fun there, and there's some. I think those big horsepower cars, those big grunty V8 type cars, tend to benefit from these type of tracks.
Indeed, they do. What's the plan between now and when we next catch up on Monday?
Just run laps, just practice, and and try and do my best, and I'll focus now on it skips tomorrow night. And then once I did that, I'll be jumping into I'll jump back into the GT3 over the weekend and run some laps and do some practice for the final round in that. and then it'll be after that it's recalibration for on Tuesday, Wednesday to recalibrate for the GT4s on Thursday night, and then just have a bit of fun on the Friday night with the skips. So yeah, so it's a matter of just finding the time, especially finding the time between Richard and I, both being parents ourselves. So it's always family first, then rig second, and racing second. But yeah, being the final round, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
The other thing as well, mate, when you look at what's ahead, the skips are obviously, just an upgrade from Formula Ford. That wasn't what was in the slot last term. You're running what's in the slot this term. But I asked ISO the same question, so I may as well ask you before we go to Sebring. And we've got about a minute before qualifying wraps up there, plus a little bit of overtime. We'll bring pictures in from Sebring any tick of the clock, folks, because I tell you what, you got to get a look at this field. 46 deep, thank you very much. About time we had some bloody numbers turning up this week. Jeff, to finish with you, I mean, there's 6 weeks to think about it, right? But do you eye off a different sort of challenge for yourself? I guess it is schedule and time dependent. Yeah, sure. But if you had the choice to stick with what's comfortable and what you know, by which I mean the GT4, the GT3 and the Skip Barber, or would you like to broaden the horizons and go and have a steer in something else next term?
I think I'll... not sure. See how I go with the GT3s, but I'd definitely like to hold on to the GT4. Like I feel like I've got a bit of momentum in that. I'm up the sharper end of the sticks, so with the GT4s, and I feel semi-competitive with that. But yeah, I'm happy to chuck my hat in the ring for pretty much anything that tickles my fancy. I'll definitely give anything a crack. Like I'm being on the committee. I might be able to put my hand on the scale a little bit into what we suggest. But obviously we're here for that, and for not just myself. So we will endeavour to pick some good combos and really have a good break over the Chrissy break and into the new year. We will be able to really focus on what tracks we can choose and what car combinations and everything like that, and we can really dig in and get a really good run for the opening season next season.
Let me just put it this way: the magic phrase or wordings you're looking for are formula and the 22nd letter of the alphabet, right? Formula and the 22nd. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Right. But I didn't say anything. I'm not trying to throw my weight around either. Good on you, mate. Thanks for stopping on by. Well done. We'll chat next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for everything, and enjoy the rest of the racing tonight.
I'm sure we will, because, as I say, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually got a field. Thank Christ. And this is the thing. We were a little bit worried, Matt Schmidtke, as I say to everybody tuning in at home. These are the platforms, the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. That was Jeff Adams. Before him, Andrew Dyson. This is Thursday Night Motorsport. This is night 4 of week 9 of term 4 of 2025, our penultimate week of the final term. Penultimate night of the penultimate week of the final term of the season, and we are getting ready for the Porsche Cup offering now for you. And this is, of course, the main course for Thursday night. It has been for the longest time. It is from the Sebring International Raceway in Sebring, Florida. This is a favourite for most of the club, and then it's the favourite one to hate for Nick Fodiatis and a few others, right? And I was a little bit worried, Matt Schmidtke, I must say. When we only saw 24 Toyotas here the other night, that might actually not bode so well for the Porsches. Happy to be wrong. 45 in the house. This is going to be awesome.
Yep, it certainly is. This is a good track when you've got lots of cars. It's a good track when you've got fewer cars, but more cars just make it that much better.
Not necessarily from a traffic standpoint, but certainly from a commentary standpoint.
Yep, definitely. It's going to be some spectacular racing, and I expect quite a few Porsche things to happen through turn 1.
Absolutely. Porsche's doing Porsche things indeed. Cannot wait to see how this plays out. There are storms widespread at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. I've got people in New South Wales complaining about power outages right now. I've got people in Queensland complaining about storms and hail and rain and power outages and other things. It is just extraordinary, the weather patterns that we're seeing at the precipice of summer for 2025. 25. Well, 1913 if you're in Queensland. But anyway, Whiskey Business Racing, good evening to you. Let's go indeed. We're going to go in a moment. We're going to have cars on the grid. There's the lay of the land. Smidgen between, it's somewhere between 5.5 to 6 kilometres of this circuit. If we can bring up the track map, please, Matt Schmidtke. Let's remind everybody of this famous former airbase strip of racetrack, 5.8 kilometres, in fact. United States of America, 9:31 in the morning. I'll worry about the rest of the information once the cars are on the grid. Championship points coming into this round. Now, it's interesting because I haven't had a chance to analyse the crap out of the points race here just yet, but I get the feeling, right, that both these championships, well, at least one of them is going to be up for grabs next week. Paul Wilson is on the cusp of match point here in the Porsche Open Cup. Let's go there first. There's the margin at 70 points, but the key ingredient is that 57. If he can leave here in excess of 70 points clear tonight, of Greg Heaney still, if he can win the race tonight, he's as good as champion-elect, because irrespective of what happens next week, he could take that 57 and run with it, and that would put him over 120 in front, which is beyond the threshold of what a super sprint round is, worth in terms of points. How many points are awarded, and available to the drivers next week. He would be in excess of 120. He would be the champion. So it's match point for Paul Wilson. So that would be 5 of 15, Matt Schmidtke. Geez, it's getting worse, isn't it? But it's just showcasing the dominance of these guys, the fact that they've been able to get in and get it done with time to spare. Greg Heaney, 334. Dale Atkins, 294. 286. Stephen Gallacher, 272. Tristan Koch, 262. Barry Punter, and 259. Jason Wilkinson, the top 7 in that series. Open split, done. Elite split, have a look at how tantalising this is. We're going to be on the edge of our bloody seat next Thursday night. Have a look at that. That's beautiful reading. 6 points between Hayden Smith, Ben Patterson, the two Riot Sim Racing teammates, and the second of those has drawn first blood here tonight. 362 plays 356, 307 for Sam Muir, 299 for Adam Hayne, and 230 for Luke Page. Luke, of course, impressive last week. The other two, Muir and Hayne, they have a little bit of recovery work to do. Muir especially, DNS, a non-classified and an 8th last week for Adam Hayne. Oh, boy. Long Beach was a vitally important stop of the season, and it was a defining, pivotal point in the championship as far as those two gentlemen were concerned. 230 for Luke Page, Rodney Gollan, and then back to Jared Knight, Simon Mesmo, Alan Dawson, Craig Bond, the top 10 grid. 4:15 in the afternoon, local server time. Can we just bring that back up again, please, Matt Schmidtke? I'll go through the grid in just a moment. 40 minutes the journey here, folks, and then 23 rows to get to. We'll get to that in just a moment. 4:15 in the afternoon. We're on the east coast of America, where we've gone to November 26, 2025. So this is heading towards winter, so we're heading towards sunset, lights ablaze for that very reason. 24 degrees the ambient, 25 on track, dry conditions, 0% rain, 48% humidity, winds in a northeasterly direction at 14 kilometres an hour. Ben Patterson, Sam Muir, front row. That's great news for Muir. Hayden Smith, Luke Page, second row. Pat Klein, Adam Hayne, third row. All the championship contenders in the top 3 rows of the grid. Connor Nixon, Kyle Hardley from 4. Jared Knight, Marcus Watson from 5. Good to see Watto back on the grid. Ashton Hartley's back. And so too is Alan Dawson on row 6. Simon Mesmo, Reg Burke, 7. Row 8 is Teo Serrano alongside Willie Blair. Row 9, Chuk Fang Wong and Eli Donaldson. Row 10, Donald Sabanal and Nick Wood. Row 11, Oscar Haynes and Nick Chapman. Wade Sheedy drawing first blood in the open split. Row 12 alongside Adam Lavis. Row 13, Craig Bond, David Hayne. Row 14, Stephen Gallacher, Jason Wilkinson. Row 15, Rodney Gollan and John Akers. Yeah. Row 16, Marcus Cook, Tom Pritchard. Row 17, Brett Bradbury, Greg Heaney. Row 18, Colin Bennett, Barry Punter. Row 19, Paul Wood, Dale Atkins. Row 20, Tristan Koch and Cameron Dakin, rather. Row 21, Edward Rollo, Peter Richards. Row 22, JD Denton, Paul Wilson. Row 23, Sean Rigby. And we are set to go racing in Florida. Off, away. Great start, Patterson. Hayne and Nixon went nowhere. Nixon's been swamped, has lost 4 positions. Haynes lost 3 himself. Dawson up the outside, a blinder of a start. 4 positions gained for Dawson already. It becomes 3 at the exit of turn 1 because Adam Hayne got him back on the inside. And Ben Patterson skips clear in the lead. He needs this in relation to his teammate Hayden Smith. And Sam Muir's wedged between the 2 teammates at the moment. Clean start for the most part. Ashton Ardley joins us from pit lane. Teo Sorono as well. Peter Richards off track. That's the only skirmish so far. Sorono will be trying to crawl back through the field from 43rd. Hold your breath. It's hairy in the early stages. Trouble. Yep, there it is. Pat Klein, Kai Ardley gone. They will plow it to the back of the field as everybody else will skip their way through. And we were worried about that because, yes, it's great for commentators and spectators alike, Matt Schmidtke. The more cars, the merrier, the more the better. You go out there and you watch everywhere you look, there's a positional battle, right? But it's not lost on anybody that unless you're on the main straight or the back straight that heads down to Sunset Boulevard, it's a very tight bit of bitumen around this racetrack. You're seeing that already. And trying to squeeze 45 through on the opening lap was just a bridge too far. Three-way fight for second at the moment. Muir, Smith and Page. Look who's taking off in the sunset distance. That is Ben Pedersen, and he dominated last time we were here at Sebring in the Porsche Cup as well. Good move there on the inside. Connor Nixon gets through on Simon Massimo. Their next target is Alan Dawson. They've got Marcus Watson for company. Frantic first lap, but we're through it unscathed. Further back, this is what happened earlier. Oh, no, that's a bit of a shocker, unfortunately, for the 67. That was, of course, just trying to pick up the red Joe on that one. Ashton Ardley's dropped to the back of the order in car number 5. New car inbound next season. Joe Baldwin with the scoop there, of course, the 992.2 with the ABS and the traction control as well. We're excited about that. Some are, some aren't. Luke Page was a bit vocal in the opposite direction last week, wasn't he? He wasn't too fussed on the ABS or the traction control, quite frankly. Paddy Klein, Brett Bradbury, Greg Heaney all to pit lane that time through. Still trying to pick up the red Joe of the opening lap skirmish. Kai Ardley was the 67.
Yes.
Yeah, Kai Ardley is who it was that got into the side of, I think, Alan Dawson, the 062. So, yeah, plenty of drama early here. We'll get the totem pole back up on screen for you as soon as we can, folks, so that you can have a look at what's going on in this race. Thank you, Matty Schmidtke. Helps me out as well. Luke Page to the inside of Sam Muir into third. Vortex going to the top step, to the bottom step of the podium, to the top of that battle pack. Pedersen and Smith, Page and Muir. You may have heard me having a giggle whilst I was trying to read through the grid, 23 rows in 45 seconds. That was Joe Baldwin just pointing out the bleeding obvious that our good mate, Nick Fodiatis, we deal in sarcasm on a Thursday night when we talk about him jumping onto a grid at Sebring. It's always a bit facetious. We know he won't be here, but we just ask the question anyway. We love him. And the funny thing is, we love that is just an ingredient for us to work with and play off all season long. I'm known for being passionately vocal about my hatred for certain topics, but for Nick at Sebring, nothing else comes close. That's a good move from Hayden Smith. That was when he got through, whilst we're looking at replays on Luke Page and Sam Muir, and of course that's made Muir vulnerable to Page. Hayne and Knight in behind there. Haney having a good run. And I get the feeling that this will be a little bit less fraught with danger than somewhere like Long Beach, Matt Schmidtke. It's not concrete waiting for them left and right, it's grass and dirt. And 2, we're not inverting the field. This is a straight out-and-out 40-minute race.
Yep, certainly does take away some of the danger when there's no concrete walls, though there is one a bit further away on the exit of turn 1. I found that when we were here in the GT3s a couple of weeks ago. Correct,
yes. And also, of course, there's a couple on the main straight as well, but for the most part, yes, this is not a circuit that's just lined with concrete the way in which Long Beach is. Let's have a look at some replays here for you. That is Greg Heaney. What made Heaney pit? Well, he's going to get caught up yet.
That was very unfortunate.
And who was it that was pirouetting into him into the first place? Was that a mate by chance?
No, it was that, whoever that is. I didn't.
Whoever that is, yep.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I was thinking as well,
no?
mate, but I didn't want to say it that bluntly. Yeah, Paddy Klein it might have been, or Brett Bradbury. One of the two. Brett Bradbury, yeah.
No,
yeah.
it was a black car with kind of, that car there, what number are they behind? The black car with the...
Yeah, I just can't pick up
yeah,
the rego. And you can't pick up the car. But that explains it, Michael, you're right. We just wish we could ID the other driver. Oh dear. Luke Page, Sam Muir are battling with Adam Hayne and Jared Knight. Stephen Gallacher, there you go. B-I-N-G-O, and Bingo was his name. Oh, brilliant.
Well, someone else was going off in front as well.
Porsche's doing Porsche things. We might have mentioned that in the intro. 202.885 for Hayden Smith, the fastest start of the race. And, oh, have a look at this. Down the inside. Hayne gets by Muir. Nicely played. Muir gives him a tap on the exit. Hayne consolidates. Muir trying to fight back on the inside. Side by side we go. Page has got through. And now Hayne's got by on Muir as well. Muir's lost 3 spots in the opening 4 laps. And remember, these guys are fighting for the minor placings in the championship. Adam Hayne to the inside, Sam Muir to the outside. Still side by side they go. Muir getting the run. Here comes Jared Knight up the outside of the pair of them. Do they want to go 3 wide? No, not yet. Knighty's very close to engaging it. Deploying it, activating it, whatever you want to call it. He's very close. Maybe Sunset Boulevard, they'll be 3 wide. Which, as we saw the other night, works if you're on the outside going into the corner. More so than the inside. You just can't carry enough speed through on the tight line there. It's not like it's a banked corner like the ovals, Talladega and Daytona. Yeah, apologies as well, folks. I'm still, and I have been pretty much since the outset tonight, still dealing with a rather nasty headache this evening. Could be something to do with the atmospheric pressure this evening, I'm not sure, but we'll push through regardless. We are professionals after all. Down the back straight, Jared Knight 6th, here we go. Down Sunset Boulevard we go. And the sun will get low towards the back end of this race. The glare will be going straight onto that windscreen, I am sure. To the right-hander.
Yeah. Oh, Muir's lost it, or did he get a bit of a bump?
Now, did Knight help him, or did Muir do that all on his own? Stephen Gallacher style. Muir's dropped at 9th. And maybe championship hopes are being dashed here and now. He hasn't got a drop round to fall back on.
Oh, I picked up the wrong car.
Page. Wowee. Let's have a look again. Unbelievable drama here. Pedersen, Smith, Page, Hayne, Knight, Nixon, Watson, Haynes. Haynes up 13 spots already. Muir, Donaldson up 8. Chapman up 11. Geez, he's got some overtaking practice under his belt tonight, doesn't he? Here we go. Let's have a look. Jared Knight to Sam Muir. No, it doesn't look like it. No, all on his own.
He's just done it on his own.
All on his own. And that's an uncharacteristic mistake from him as well. But that's what championship pressure does. That's what championship week does. Smith and Pedersen have stayed out of trouble so far. It's going to be a pretty much an even Steven race between the two teammates going into next week. They're going to have to turn up and bring their best to Interlagos for the season finale to determine the championship. Hopes for Muir are being dashed as we speak. Hopes for Hayne. Well, 21 points he's got in his drop round account. That's not going to do him any good at the moment. Luke Page hasn't got anything to fall back on, but he's too far back to make a play for it. Jared Knight too far back, with only a 6-point drop round sitting there at his disposal. So it's as good as done that we are looking at a 2-horse race, a teammate versus teammate scenario going into the Porsche finale next week. And this is what happened to Paul Wood. There mightn't be concrete, but there's certainly Armco.
Yep, and that was a big hit.
Oh, yeah, massive shunt for Woodsy. And crabbing like buggery, that race car. Paul Wood parked up out of the race. First retirement of the night. Muir back there in 9th. The comeback commences. What can he claw back from here? Pedersen, Smith, Page, Hayne, Knight, Nixon, Watson, Haynes. Haynes 13 positions gained so far. I want to say that he's the best mover of the night, but he's not, because Marcus Cook is. Trouble further back, Cameron Dakin involved. And so too, Wade Sheedy. Pat Klein on the comeback trail, down oh no, Paddy. Down 36 spots already. After a strong qualifying, it all went belly up in the first couple of corners. Still 44 running out there. Let's have a look at this. Uh-oh.
Just not his night by the looks of it.
No, just not, no. And that's right, some people just hate this circuit because of the characteristics of it, the nature of it, the bumps, what that does, how it unsettles the car. Kai Ardley recovering back in 15th spot now. The second of the Ardleys, Ashton, having started pit lane, 17 positions down on where he qualified. He qualified 11th. He's currently sitting 28th. There are still an enormous amount of pit stops to play out here, folks. Everyone down to 27th yet to stop. Include Ardley and Sorono in that as well, because even though Sorono stopped on lap 1 and Ardley started from pit lane, they are going to have to stop again to meet CPS requirements. Willie Blair's off the road right now. There he is, out in the weeds. There he is, off in a different postcode. They're all going to have to stop again. In fact, anyone that stopped on lap 1, Pat Klein, Brett Bradbury, Greg Heaney, probably looking at a second invoice, Matt. I don't think they can get, what are we doing tonight? 19, 20 laps most likely. I don't think they can get home without another transit of the lane. So that's a costly invoice for all of them. In comes Owen Dawson on that note.
Yep, I'm pretty sure you will not be able to get back if you pit on the end of lap 1. We usually don't have it set up, so you've got quite that much fuel. We want to encourage people to go a few more laps than that before they hit the box.
Oh boy, it's all happening, isn't it? Oh, by the way, not that I'm one for product placement, and not that I'm one for advertising alcohol in a family-friendly time slot on the West Coast, but one of our good club supporters is Sprite and Cider, right? Now, whether you're a cider drinker or not, and I'm usually not, I'm usually a Canadian club person, and I openly admit that to Matt Distill and our friends from Sprite and Cider. They have actually released what I reckon would be an all right sort of drop to try, quite frankly. And it's now available via the Sprite and Cider website, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, as part of Black Friday. Hard raspberry lemonade. So similar to a hard solo, similar to, you know, the Sunkist equivalent, everything else. Hard raspberry lemonade from Sprite and Cider. That, I reckon, would go down a treat on Boxing Day when you're watching the test match, knocking back a couple of them. Kai Ardley's had another moment. But yeah, SpriteandCiderCo.com.au, SpriteandCiderCo.com.au to support the people that support us. And if you haven't been down there to Tassie, they do, and I was having a look at this earlier because I saw that and thought I might want a piece of it. They do actually ship per carton, $10 per carton. They'll ship to anywhere in Australia on the mainland. $5 in Tassie, $10 everywhere else. So support the people that support you. This is the PanTek Industries Porsche Cup, and this is lap number 8. This is Ben Pedersen leading by half a second. We've picked up Kai Ardley in 21st. Sam Muir's recovered to 8th, despite early drama. Into pit lane have gone Adam Lavis, Craig Bond, Willie Blair, Chuk Fung Wong, Barry Punter, all in that time through. Alan Dawson came in at the end of lap 6, so he reckons he can get home on a 14-lap run. Stephen Gallacher stopped at the same time. So slowly but surely, Matt Schmidtke, we're seeing these pit stops cycle through. Everybody running different strategies at the moment.
Yep, we've seen the first lot of stoppers that I would assume they could get home. They've done the math, so some Dawson went on 6, but most people went on 7, so it's about the 15-minute mark, so 25-minute mark I would guess as well. We'll see the last of the stoppers come in.
Copy that. Don't forget, massive weekend of sport coming up. Here's Adam Laverson, 34th. I mean, WBBL double headers tomorrow and on Sunday. There's something happening in your neck of the woods as well, Schmidtke. I'm reliably informed across the course of the weekend. Not terribly sure if it's the biggest event in town, but it is South Australia after all. There is not much else going on at this time of the year. The Ashes roll into town in a couple of weeks. That'll be when you take front and centre. That'll be a lot of fun. The Qatar Formula 1 Grand Prix, which is vitally important because, unfortunately, Lando can wrap up the World Championship this weekend, even despite McLaren trying to lose it for them both last weekend in Vegas. What else have we got on? Saturday Arvo Racing, the summer series of the racing. Of course, the next big carnival coming up will be the Gold Coast Magic Millions. And I'm very excited about the back end of next week too, because the Rugby World Cup draw for 2027 will be released, as will be the FIFA World Cup 2026 draw. All that information drops next week. Trouble! Marcus Cook and Nick Wood. Let's see if we can't get a replay of that one. And of course, hopefully, if you're a fan of Supercross, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the World Supercross Australian Grand Prix on the Gold Coast this weekend. And I'll have to find out some telecast times with regards to that. I think it's on 7+. This was Marcus Cook. Yeah, just got checked up, and as he's tried to correct it, he's just gone straight into the oncoming traffic that is Nick Wood. Nothing Wood could have done about that one. He had nowhere to go, and Cook didn't have control, so no harm, no foul play on. Oh, that's right. Yes, of course. The AFLW, the AFL Women's Grand Final, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And the Matildas are in action tomorrow night. And let's hope that play can resume without too much interruption or disruption at Royal Brisbane for the Australian PGA Championship as the summer of golf gets underway, which you can watch on Nine's Wide World of Sports as well, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, a lot of big marquee primetime sport coming up this weekend. It's good stuff. Premier League in there as well if you're a footy fan. And of course, all eyes on Qatar in the early hours of Monday morning. Sam Muir 202.882 as he recovers to 7th. Now that's because we've seen Marcus Cook come to pit lane, but also Jared Knight. Jared Knight's got out of all of this, and he's rejoined the circuit in 22nd position, 7.52 seconds on the Jacks on lap 8. Simon Mesimo, 7.73 as well. So those two guys were in that main pack of cars at the front of the field. They have now divided to conquer. Sam Muir, 202.882. Fastest lap of the race. Pedersen, Smith, half a second. And then the gap they've put on the field's extraordinary. Now I like that. I really like that, Matt Schmidtke. How good's that when Matty Dench is even throwing shade in the direction of Nick Podiatis. Denchy's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. GSRC, GT3 and Porsche Cup royalty is tuning in tonight. His return is imminent. We know that. We're excited about that. Cannot wait to see what he brings to the table and whether he can pick up where he left off but when he's back on the platforms of the GSRC, because remember, that 13 consecutive championship winning run came undone this year. It came to an end. It was his teammate Harrison Lewis that got the job done, obviously. But the problem was Denchi did the Harold Holt. No one had heard from him. And then a couple of weeks ago, he slides into Adam Lavis' inbox and says, yes, the return is imminent. And he starts by throwing Nick Fodianis under the bus. I like it. I'm all for it. We love a Thursday night at Sebring. Pedersen, Smith, Connor Dixon to pit lane at this point in time. We've picked up Paul Wilson, who isn't yet at the forefront of the open split right now. But as I said, still in the box seat to do match point tonight, to secure the title tonight. And around the outside, around the inside, Pritchard, that's Wilkinson. Round over the mains. They go. They are duking it up in the lead, aren't they, in the open split? Yeah. Yep. So the interesting thing for mine, Schmitty, will be the margin here, right, for Paul Wilson in this championship fight tonight. If he has, I mean, what was it coming in? We had a look at this earlier. It was 70 coming in. It's a neat 70. If you take the drop round and add it on tonight, that 57, that becomes, before you even talk about Greg Heaney's calculations, that becomes 127. So, yes, he's not leading this thing tonight, but it's looking more and more likely that because of that, the 57 points will go on. And this round will become one of his drop rounds. So then the discussion will be, where are the mathematics with regards to what he scored tonight, which is at the moment third? What's the points haul tonight, plus the margin to work out if he's home essentially already going into next week. Because remember, if it goes balls up next week, then he gets the drop round points from tonight back, because it will be the best of two drop rounds. Remembering that the other one, 57, is likely going in tonight. And the other drop round that he's got currently sitting there is 1 point. So it'll be the best of the drop rounds that goes in. So 57 will go in. This point score, which will be 48 plus whatever bonuses he might have attributed, that'll be his reserve. And then what's the margin to Greg Heaney? And then we crunch the numbers. In comes Oscar Haynes. So it's not technically done yet for Paul Wilson, but he could be on the cusp tonight. And that would make it 5 titles decided. We've got all three GT. I think it's extraordinary, Matt Schmidt. I mean, this battle playing out on screen at the moment, we'll keep an eye on it, but I think it's extraordinary that we've reached this point of the year, and it's because of the absence of people like Dench, by the way, and we've got GT3 Pro, Pro-Am and Am all still live and active and up for grabs going into Monday night, which is an awesome way to start grand final week.
Yep, it certainly is. It's going to be a good battle between Jeff and Vinny for the GT3 Pro-Am title, and I'll be there, hopefully in front of him. But I'm in no contention for the win. But I'm somehow mathematically in contention for third overall, despite getting 4 donuts in the season. So it's going to be a big ask. Dave Oliver will have to basically not turn up, plus the couple of other people in front of me, but still there technically.
That's the thing. I probably should have asked Diso this as well, but I got lost in transit. You can go out there and afford to throw a caution to the wind next week. If you're not in championship contention, you can go out there and just have at it, right? If you are in championship contention, you've got to be tactically thinking about it. You've got to be tactful in the way you go about your approach to the 90 minutes or the 60 minutes or whatever the race length is. But if you're in, but if your championship's already secured, it's either a case of going out there and showing why the championship's already secured, taking the night off, putting the feet up and relaxing, or going out there and just having a bit of fun, trying a different car. Denchi's done that before. We've seen him turn up in different cars and dominate on grand final night because the title's already in the bag. Here's a move. Down the back straight, Pritchard, Knight to the inside. Pritchard hasn't yet stopped.
Oh, Nixon at the back of Dawson. And they've hit Pritchard and the wall.
Three of them hit the wall and gone. Wowee. championship defining moments right here at the Sebring circuit in Florida. Pritchard has lost out in the lead in the battle for the open split. That's Paul Wilson on his outside. And now inside. So Wilson goes through to second in class, and that means it's on the cusp of being done tonight. Wilkinson, Wilson, Pritchard, and David Hayne wedged in behind. I think we need to have another look at that, to be fair. I think we need to see that again. Oh, Connor, no. Connor got into Hayne. Oh, was it Hayne or was it Knight?
I believe that's Hayne. Yeah, Jared. Oh, sorry, no, it is Knight, Jared Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, they're in the same team, but yeah, no. So poor old Knighty, he's just jumped straight on the tow rope. He's on pit road. Poor old Knighty, he might be done. That's not ideal. Oh dear.
I'm surprised Pritchard still seems to be going around all right. That was a pretty big hit on the tyres there, but he's still going pretty well.
That's unfortunate for Knight. He was, of course, on the reverse strategy, trying to work his way back through the field, trying to set himself up for a top 10 result, and he just couldn't get through cleanly. But he did get some help, we reckon. We reckon there was a little bit of an SMS there. Unlucky. That's racing sometimes, boys. Edward Rollo recovering in 26th.
Doing a bit of grass cutting by the looks of it.
Yep, you can see that being kicked up. And the debris being dragged back onto the racetrack as a result. Actually, that's what I was going to do. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, just bear with me for a moment here. Date, time and date is the name of the website. Let's go. Sebring, Florida, there it is. Right, just to give you some context as to Sunset Boulevard, right? Sunset is due, and we know that the service started just after 4 o'clock server time. Sunset is due at 5:30 local server time this afternoon. Can we just have a look at where we're at with that at the moment? Matty Schmidtke, we should be on the cusp of about 5 o'clock. Yeah, there we go. We'll be about 5 o'clock when the race finishes. So we're missing sunset well and truly. Still daylight. 16:45 local server time, which is American Eastern Standard Time. I stitched Scotty Rankin up with this the other night, Matt Schmidtke. I don't know if you heard my gripe that I had with him and the score that I had to settle with him about this. But there was a patch update that came out in the very first season way back when, right? Way back in, God knows how long ago it was. There was a patch update that came out with regards to time and server settings, because he was having me believe that daylight saving's not a thing in the server, right? And he was saying, oh, no, it's just iRacing, server time. And I was like, BS, right? And went out and set out and proved it. That yes, because of the laser scanning, because of the coordinates, because of everything else that goes on in terms of the meticulous planning from iRacing with regards to their servers, settings, and their scanning of circuits and all that sort of stuff, daylight saving is incorporated where it's applicable around the world. So, which is why when, and you got stitched up by this a couple of weeks back, was it at Alton Park? We had a sunset race that ended up being a dusk race. Everybody in the pitch black, because we were supposed to. You had not taken into consideration the fact that daylight saving ended in that part of the world the week earlier. So we were aiming for a sunset race. We got a nighttime race, and what a beauty it was too. And that's how I knew. I was like, "You're full of crap. You're full of rubbish." So was able to stitch him up. Quite enjoyed that. Because I take my time and service settings quite seriously, as you know, because I live up here where we're living on a 112-year and 1 hour delay. So I take that stuff seriously, which is why when we go to winter, you're always, like in the United States, you're always mindful of where the service settings are at, just to know whether you're going to have a sunset race or whether you're going to have a twilight race. This is very much a twilight race at the moment. But yes, I did enjoy getting one up on him the other day, because we were questioning the service settings for the Bathurst 1000, right? I said, how late in the afternoon is this going to run, boys? Are we going to have to worry about daylight? And they said, no, we're starting at 11:30 server time. I was like, perfect, lovely, that's great. 11:30 works. No threat of sunset because it's daylight saving. 7:30, daylight still, excellent, lovely. And they're like, iRacing doesn't do daylight saving. Yes, iRacing does. Yes, iRacing does. God bless iRacing. They get it. They understand it. Can you send a memo to Queensland, please? Ben Pedersen leads this race. Hayden Smith is second. There is John Akers being relegated to 25th. Luke Page has come to pit lane. Marcus Watson goes through to third. Sam Chapman will go fourth. Eli Donaldson, Reg Burke, Nick Wood, Ashton Ardley. Adam Hayne, the best placed of anyone to have stopped so far. He's there with Sam Muir. We're on lap 16 of 20. We suspect we're getting 20. It might only go to 19. It depends very much. It's a 2-minute lap here, ladies and gentlemen, and it is a long transit of the pit lane, and it's about 2 minutes 2, 2 minutes 3. So if we do get to lap 20, there's going to be a bit of overtime attached to this. I promise you. Because the 32-minute mark is going to come and go in about 13 seconds. We're only halfway through the 16th lap. So if there is overtime, there'll be plenty of it. Bondi comes through to 18th. Jason Wilkinson has been to pit lane. Most of the field has stopped. Peter Richards has not. Brett Bradbury's back on pit lane, not sure why. Peter Richards hasn't stopped, nor has JD Dent, nor has Dale Atkins, importantly, nor has Wade Sheedy, nor has Paul Wilson. Paul Wilson is now showing as the leader of the open split. Wade Sheedy now showing as second. Dale Atkins showing as third, but neither one of the top three in the open split has pitted yet. And also, as far as the top end of this field, the top 7 yet to stop. Bondi in 18th has found his nemesis, Adam Lavis. So last week, Bondi and Lavis found one another on the racetrack, a bit like Chapo and Lavis, quite frankly. They're getting very well acquainted out on the racetrack, those pair. It'd be interesting to get the boy from Gun to Guy's thoughts tonight as to what he's made of all of this. Ben Patterson and Hayden Smith to pit lane. The two teammates are in. Here's lap 16, the critical number. Let's wait and see. In comes Watson. Chapo goes on, does he? No, he comes in too. Donaldson goes on. I knew one of them was going on. Reg Burke comes in as well. Luke Page comes back through. He's ahead of Nick Wood. Nick Wood still hasn't stopped. Now he does. Wood will come into the lane. Luke Page, Adam Hayne, they come through. Ty Ardley, Ashton Ardley, they're coming through. Ashton Ardley to pit lane, I should say. Plenty of pit stop activity this time through. Ben Patterson resumes ahead of Hayden Smith. 1.2 the margin. Page under pressure from Hayne. In the battle for third, and that will be the effective corrected order third once we cycle through the pit stops for Eli Donaldson. 7.4 seconds, Ben Patterson on the jacks. Not bad. Brett Bradbury getting sick of being taken out on lap 1. I don't blame you. Although that being said, you made it to lap 14. You did make it to lap 14. I know we saw you caught up on lap 1. Not much you could have done about that one. Sorry, Brett. Reality of the season, isn't it, so far? Wheelbase. Oh, no. Oh, regardless of the tap from Connor, Jared reckons he was going around anyway, and the wheelbase has failed. I can't wrap my words around. I can't wrap my tongue around my words at the moment. So, not Cotter's fault, according to Rd-9. That's good sportsmanship. And bad luck tonight because he has good runs and he has bad runs. And just no luck tonight. But he had good pace, even though it amounts to absolutely nothing. Eli Donaldson to pit lane and out again. That cleanses the field as far as I can tell. Ben Pedersen leads. We'll have 3 laps to go. So there will be some overtime attached to this, folks.
Dale still hasn't pit, apparently. He's not registering having stopped. Yeah.
No, actually, that's a good point. Dale Atkins hasn't stopped. Now he does.
I'm guessing he's now, yes.
He will come through this time. And the leader of the open split will be Jason Wilkinson by 1.5 seconds to Paul Wilson. So Wilson in the box seat here to wrap up the championship effectively tonight, but it won't be as foregone a conclusion as what it will be for Andrew Dyson and even Sam Blacklock. But yes, he's in the box seat. Pedersen leads by 1.2 to Smith. A defining moment as far as this championship's concerned. The two teammates, they're going to be neck and neck going into the season finale from Interlagos next week. Yes, we go from North America to South America and the Super Sprint format. And what a venue for it too. Invert top 8 for the second race, invert top 12 for the third. Bring it on. 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Yes, Eastern Daylight Time next Thursday night. I have to emphasise that because unfortunately there are just some parts of this country that just don't get it. And I won't bow down to that stupidity. That Schmidt, they can do their own mathematics as far as I'm concerned. David Hayne, 26th. He's just been relegated. He's lost out there. And that's the good thing about this racetrack. Still battles popping up left, right and centre at the very end. Yes, albeit because of incidents early on. But that's David Hayne hassling or being hassled by Wade Sheedy. Marcus Watson in 5th. He chases is being chased, I should say, being hounded by Sam Muir. Good recovery from Muir, but again, it'll be a case of what might have been. It'll be to no avail. That championship will go begging, I think, or at least the chance of him being in contention come next week. Needed results to fall his way. They haven't done so. But the title will go down to the wire with the final two, the top two battling it out. This has the potential to be a positional swing as well. Adam Hayne to 3rd at the expense of Sam Muir. Luke Page making a late run, but he's kind of in no man's land at the moment. It's yes, he's got Rodney Gollan, Jared Knight, and Simon Mesmo all covered off. Where'd Mesmo fall to, by the way? Down in 10th he is. Nixon back up into 9th spot, having got to 8th momentarily and then lost out again to Eli Donaldson. We've just picked that battle up on screen. Connor's right there with Eli right now, and they've got Simon Mesmo for company. So that's the last battle in the top 10 for you. 8.4 seconds from Pedersen to Luke Page in 3rd, but he's in no man's land. It's a lonely race for him. He's got Adam Hayne to fend off in the closing stages. White flag in the air this time by, ladies and gentlemen. Half a minute left on the clock and 1 lap to go. So 1.5 minutes of overtime coming up here for you in the PanTek Industries Porsche Cup. And Ben Pedersen is a lap away from another championship-defining victory to keep his hopes alive going into the final week. That's a good move. That's Connor Nixon to the inside. Mesmo wants a piece of it as well. Donaldson goes high and holds Mesmo at bay. Can they get the run behind Nixon? No. Mesmo's going to try and hang it around the outside at 1, is he? No, it tucks back in. Now goes to the inside. Dive, 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 Simon. Dive. No. Donaldson dives on Nixon. Donaldson on Nixon. Thank you very much. Oh, hold your breath. Side by side on the run up to 3. So he's going to give himself some breathing space, Luke Page, on Rodney Golan, on Rd-9, on Simon Mesmo, and Alan Dawson, etc., right? But it was 69 points between him and fourth place coming into tonight. And even though he's covered those guys off, it's still a long way back next week. I don't even want to begin to try and contemplate the amount of permutations, equations, and scenarios that have to play out for that to fall into Luke Page's lap. He's kind of in no man's land. Oh no, Adam Lavis has lost out to Teo Serrano on the final lap, dropped down to 16th. Ashton Ardley, a great recovery to 14th. Teo Serrano to 15th. Adam Lavis to 16th. Not bad for Ashton and Teo, considering they started on pit lane. Watson has got Muir at the moment covered off. They're heading to Sunset Boulevard for the final time. And at the front, Bernie Patterson is going to sweep around Sunset Boulevard and make his way onto the main straight at the Sebring International Raceway in Florida and chalk up yet another vitally important win in the PanTec Industries Porsche Cup. It's another Riot Sim Racing 1-2. They remain 1 and 2 in the championship fight. It goes to Interlagos. And it'll be the teammates duking it out for title supremacy. Oh no, what happened there? Simon Mesmo and Eli Donaldson, not much at the line. Was that a photo finish or was that someone a lap down, running out of fuel? I don't know what happened there. I couldn't quite pick it up in the shadows either.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Yeah. I'd like to think we're all winners tonight. Yeah, possibly. But Benny Patterson, 0.63 of a second to Hayden Smith. Luke Page held off Adam Hayne. Good run in the end. Hayne recovered nicely. Marcus Watson held off Sam Muir. That was important after Muir's early indiscretion. Chapman, Donaldson, Mesmo held off Nixon. Nixon rounds out the 10. So Nixon's been relegated. That's all that's happened, really. Nixon's lost out on that final lap to Donaldson and Mesmo. Whilst we went back and had a look at Pedersen crossing the line, Nixon's dropped to 10th. Burke, Bond, and actually, can someone alert me to when he got privileges just to jump straight into the broadcast booth out of the, not straight into the green room? I didn't even see him go into the green room. He's already here. Ashton Ardley, Teo Serrano, Donald Sabanal, Rodney Golan, Alan Dawson, Adam Lavis, Willie Blair made up the top 20. Jason Wilkinson held off Paul Wilson, 0.26 of a second in the run for supremacy in the open split, but what's important there is Tom Pritchard, Stephen Gallacher, Wade Sheedy, and Dale Atkins, then Tristan Koch, Barry Punter, Colin Bennett, then Greg Heaney. So poor old Paul Wilson has done what he needed to do tonight to secure the title, I reckon. I think Paul Wilson has done enough to extend the margin on Heaney, extend the margin on Atkins. Everybody else doesn't really matter in that equation. And even if they did, Stephen Gallacher's dropped well down the order. Actually, hang on. Is Gallacher's there. So Gallacher is 4th. So he's ticked all those 3 boxes. Paul Wilson, I think, has done enough tonight to get the job done, to win the series with a round to go, to repeat the feats of Sam Blacklock and Andrew Dyson before him. I think if I've done my numbers right, knowing what the margin is, knowing what he's got sitting there in drop rounds, which is 57, I think Paul Wilson's your champion in the open split tonight. But the elite split, that goes to next week. Hype 61 saying, I joined late but quite enjoyed that. Gentlemanly racing, well, that's our mantra. We try to pride ourselves on being known as the Gentleman Sim Racing Club for that very reason. That's in the ethos. But join us on a Monday night when the Toyotas are tearing around Imola and you might have a different interpretation. Oh, sorry. Did I just say that out loud? I did. I'm sorry. It's true, though. Let's have a look at some highlights here. That was brilliant from Ben Pedersen. We've got his teammate Hayden Smith standing by. We've got Ashton Ardley jumping in for a chat. We've got Craig Bond jumping in for a chat. We've got Kai Ardley jumping in for a chat as well. It'd be nice to catch up with the Ardley boys, and we'll do that very quickly. But I'll get to the podium boys first. Hayden Smith, and also, of course, there in third place, Luke Page. Hopefully we'll catch up with Benny Pedersen at some point here as well. But in the meantime, boys, let's have a chat about all of that. Hayden, you went in with a 6-point advantage over your teammate. It swings in roundabouts, doesn't it? You two are basically leaving it all up to next week to see who will win this title. By the way, Michael Henney wants to see the finishing order of the open split, if we can, please. Matt Schmidtke, there it is for you, my friend. As I mentioned, Greg down there in position number 10. So, yeah, 8-position swing. And if we can have a look at what the points mean for that, we will. I'm just waiting to get clarification as to whether or not Adam Lavis is crunching the numbers tonight or tomorrow, mate. If he's doing them tonight, we'll bring you a live update later. If not, it'll be in tomorrow night's broadcast for you. But I think Paul Wilson's done enough to get it done. So there it is for you. Wilkinson, Wilson, Pritchard, Gallacher, Sheedy, Atkins, Kosh, Punter, Bennett and Heaney. The top 10. Couple of retirements in all of that. There was some attrition. Brett Bradbury, JD Dent, Cameron Dakin and Peter Richards ended up a lap down. Dakin was, JD Dent was 2 laps down. Bradbury a retirement. And as far as the rest of it was concerned, Paul Wood also retirement. As far as the elite split was concerned, just Jared Knight and Oscar Haynes not making it home. So not too bad an attrition rate in all of that. Certainly better than what we've had on previous visits to Sebring. Wowee. Righto. Let's get stuck into this. Go back to where I was a few seconds ago. Apologies for the deflection there and the detour, gentlemen. But Hayden Smith, it was pretty much even Steven going in. The advantage you had was 6 points. I think that's just been slashed. Game on. Winner takes all next week. How are you feeling?
Like it's going to be a fun week next week.
Define fun, because I look at that and think pressure. Intense pressure. Pressure cooker, teammates in a team, strategy, rivalry, all that sort of stuff ignites next week. But the good news is, I don't think, whatever happens, I don't think you two can drop out of the top 2. That's probably the best case scenario here for you guys.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's the case. You're right on the point side of the house. Next week should be right. I've been able to be super consistent through this season with one of my drop rounds is still I don't know, I think I scored maybe 55 tonight, maybe. And if that's the case, one of my drop rounds is a 55-point round. So I've managed to keep consistent. So if I just do it for one more week, I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, a bridesmaid once before, right? I don't want to remind you of the events of the last Super Sprint when we went to Sandown, right? But you were there, right? Right on the cusp of knocking the king off the perch, by which I mean Corey Lazarus, right? Next week, the sad reality is you can still be a bridesmaid, but this time to your teammates. So I guess it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You'd be elated that the team has the bragging rights and the supremacy and the title in its trophy cabinet, but you'd be disappointed if it's not you finally getting the job done and climbing that extra step up the podium.
Yeah, I think I haven't actually learned how to win yet, to be honest. So through this season, I'm just looking now, I've picked up 2 wins, and then there's been, it looks like 7 or 8 P2s. So apparently I don't know how to win, so I'm kind of going into it expecting a P2. So if I manage to get a P1, then sure, that'll be nice.
Well, talk to me about how you go about trying to turn that around and make that happen in the space of a week, right? Because tonight you were 3rd on the grid, but you moved hard, moved early, got up to 2nd, stayed there, right? What's the secret next week? Noting that next week's totally more complex than tonight. By the way, we've lost Luke Page, folks, but if he comes back to the green room, we'll slot him back into the booth. How do you go about it? Because next week, invert top 8 for race 2, invert top 12 for race 3. You're likely to be implicated in both of those.
Yes, correct. That's right. I've had quite a strong round of sprints through this season, so I guess for at least this season's form, I can lean on that. Benny's usually a bit more aggressive than me in a sprint, and sometimes he flogs us all, and other times it doesn't play out like that. So usually I'm a bit more conservative. That can make me a bit more consistent, but ultimately if Benny pulls off a reverse grid, I'm going to be in a world of trouble in trying to overturn that.
Let me bring him in at this point in time. Stay with me, Hayden. I'll come back to you. Benny, you've made this place a bit of a happy hunting ground, haven't you? 2 from 2 in the 40-minute races here. Or was the last one here a 60 that you won?
I can't remember, but I did remember that I won. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll have to check the records. But, mate, I have my teammate trying to give me shit and tell me to lock up in the last corner. We had a good time, though.
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, a bit of banter's good, but no, I'm enjoying being Hayden's teammate. It's good to, you know, be able to work with someone and gain the benefits. Like I was at the beginning of the race, I'm egging him on to give Sam a bit of hell and try and get past him. That worked out in his favour, and then obviously we just sort of just cruised at the end, and then, well, I wouldn't say we're cruising, we're pushing. But, yeah, it's been great. I'm really enjoying being a member of this team.
And that's the main thing, mate. I mean, the key aspect of what you're saying there is that you're enjoying it. If you're enjoying it, you're happy. And it's reflected in the sense that we've seen a lot more consistent and luck-filled season for you. I mean, the last couple of terms, I don't want to go through it, but you've had all sorts of bad luck thrown your way. There's been incidents, there's been pit lane trip-ups, there's been packet loss, there's been this, there's been that, there's been computers shit themselves, there's been so many other things that have happened to you, right? And finally, the right team, the right environment, the right I's being dotted and T's being crossed, and here you are on the cusp of joining the likes of Denchi and Lazarus as the Porsche Cup champion on the platforms of the GSRC. You'd be pinching yourself right now.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's really good that we've got both of us up there sort of with a title fight, so should make a really good next week. But look, you know, with every mistake you make, you work out what you can do to do it better, and having made all these mistakes, I still do, but you know, you can improve upon them. And to do with it, like with the mistakes to do with all the technical stuff, I've actually modified a lot of stuff to avoid having that happen with my sim. Like, you know, remember the mouse that went missing 2 seasons ago? So I couldn't actually click the plit. So I've actually got like a border around my mouse pad on my rig. Obviously, the you know, when I had a fever, the air conditioning wasn't on. I now know that I have to run the air conditioning to not overheat the headset. So
Yes.
you know, I'm finding everything out, you know, as I go, and then just ironing out all the kinks.
And that's what it's all about, mate. I mean, practice makes perfect, right? So talk to me about, I mean, obviously Hayden's already given his thoughts. He's of the belief that he hasn't learned how to win yet, but consistency wins championships, right? It just so happens to be that the two of you have been equally as consistent this season. Yeah, okay, there's been blips in the road, but there's a lot of podium finishes within that, particularly a lot of race wins for you. But it all hinges on next week, because when you look at the points scenario, he's got a 55 to fall back on. You've got a 24 to fall back on. That's a 31-point swing in his favour. So you guys, it's essentially, and especially when there's over 100 points up for grabs next week, it all hinges on bringing your best to the table at Interlagos. So I've got 2 questions, and Hayden needs to chime back in at this point in time as well. One, how do you feel about Interlagos, and how do you go about planning for that 3-race super sprint format and all the different equations that are associated with it? And B, where do we sit on team orders?
Am I first? Sure, why not?
You go first, absolutely, go for it.
So A, how do we go about it? For me, it'll be the same as what we do every week, which is usually a night of a bit of practice and banter on a Tuesday. So that'll probably be exactly the same thing. And then team orders, well, Ben did invite me to full send at one point when he made a mistake, but I thought it was going to be a 50-50 move, so I decided not to. So I imagine next week we'll run exactly the same.
So it's so essentially we're at that point now, right? And we hear about it all the time. First rule of racing is don't take out your teammate. But now we're at a point where you guys, and I'm looking at the points here, and we'll have them up on screen as soon as they're ready with Adam Lavis. He's crunching them at the moment. But we're almost at that point now. Yes, gentlemen, look who's throwing his hat into the ring next week. The great man M. Dench is looking at Interlagos and thinking, He's eyeing that off the way Clive Palmer arrives off the buffet. He is looking at that thinking, I might just have to throw my hat into the ring. We'd welcome it, but I'm sure you guys would be happy if he just parked on the sideline and played spectator one more week.
No, Lazo, Denchi, come back.
Oh, okay. Righto. There you go. Where do you sit on that, Hayden?
I don't mind. Fair game. Why not?
Yeah.
It'll make it interesting. I think you'll get stitched up with the GSRC rule of your first league round in the last two. I think you get kicked to the back, right? So I think
that's right.
But come race 2, race 3, I'm sure he'll climb through race 1, so he'll be there for the next 2.
Race 3 particularly, yeah. Him and Kay Lazarus, if they're back on the grid next Thursday night, geez, they'd be in the top 12 invert for sure by race 3. But here's the interesting one, right? First rule of racing, have fun. Second rule of racing, don't take out your teammate. Third rule of racing, well, at this point in time, caution to the wind. You guys can go at it, go as hard as you like, knowing full well that whatever happens, you've likely got first and second in the championship wrapped up. But at what point do you just, throw a degree of caution towards it, Benny? So make sure that, yes, you have a bit of fun, but you don't overdo it. You don't trip yourselves up. You don't put it in the wall and with the 0 next to your name.
Mate, if it's guaranteed that we're 1 and 2, it'll be rough.
I like it. It's going to be a bit like Senna and Prost.
Yeah. Thinking about making sure that we both finished in the top 2. Yep. But yeah, the gloves off. We'll have a race. Definitely have a race. Hey, I want to I want to have a race. It'll be good.
I'm loving the point scenario, by the way, when we have a look at it, when it's ready to go up on screen. By the way, gentlemen, you're gonna be absolutely chomping at the bit when we show this. But with all of that, what does it mean to the team, right? More specifically, to be 1 and 2. I mean, not just to wrap up a Porsche Cup title for whoever may be crowned champion next Thursday night, but for the team to do it in such a way that they've got 2 contenders in contention going into next Thursday night.
I think it's a bit of a fairy tale for the team, mate. I think everyone's stoked, so it's really good. What do you think, Hader?
Yeah, well, the team, I don't know, the teams, for me, I've been a Riot member for a inordinate amount of time, and not done many leagues in that time, though, but for this entire year, right, like if we looked at 25A, I guess, in terms of where the team was, and well, I guess the volume of members in the team was sort of exploded during season 3, 25-3. But just there's a whole bunch of us that are in, like half the team was in, I think I was the only elite member in 25A, potentially, I could be wrong, right? But then now we look and like there's 6 or 7, probably more, 6 or 7 of them in elite now, where they were all in open at the start of the year. So like the whole team's walked forward. Which is really cool, regardless of just me and Benny, but like all the rest of them have come up too.
And that's the thing as well. Benny, I think if we've done our numbers right as well, we're going to see tonight that Paul Wilson's done enough to secure the open split title for the stable as well. So it's a sweep for the team at this stage.
That is so good. Congrats, Paul. That's awesome. So good.
Now, Interlagos, right? Not everybody's cup of tea, but it's a circuit that lends itself to good racing. How much time, testing, preparation, tuning, and etc. will you guys put into next Thursday night?
For me, probably me normal Tuesday for about 2 to 3 hours, and that'll be it.
All my other leagues are finished, so probably every day I'll be on the sim for sure.
Well, that's annoying, isn't it?
I remember actually saying something like that. Like, that's what you used to love about the GSRC, because I was focusing on Sunday and Monday for the other league.
I love it.
See, I've been leaning on the fact that Benny's been doing other leagues, so I can just let myself do one night of prac a week because he's been focusing on everything else as well. So he's also only been doing one night a week. So I might be in trouble then if that's what he's up to.
Maybe so, but whatever happens, mate, next Thursday night, it is going to be gloves off. It is going to be eyes on. It is going to be probably the grand finale of all grand finales, one that we are desperately looking forward to here on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, and it is going to be compulsory viewing for everybody. The only sad reality is that we won't have as many viewers as we'd like, because the first day of the second test, I should say, is on at the Gabba, running simultaneously with it. So we'll be going around the grounds as best we can to keep people across both situations here next Thursday night. Hayden, any other league racing for you between now and next Thursday?
No, I don't do anything else. I just do this on a Thursday. So yeah, one booking.
I like it, boys. I'm done with you. Anything you want to add? Anyone you want to thank on the way out?
For me, cheers to all the right lads, all the usual. I do think we need to get the points thrown up. I've kind of jumped on the spreadsheet. I think that'll be interesting.
Just do me a favour and wait around until Adam's finished punching the numbers, because then once they're final and we can put them up on the screen, we will.
Copy. I think he's almost done. So yep, I'll hang about. Cheers.
It's ridiculous. Benny?
Mate, yeah, I'll hang around, mate. I'm very curious to see where we're at. But, yeah, excited for Interlagos. It's a track that I never used to like, but Corey made me like it, because I practiced with him a lot there.
We might actually tackle that part of it next week. We might ask you blokes just how much you've been able to lean upon the expertise, the insights, and the technical brains of the guys that you're emulating, or you're trying to emulate, the likes of Dench and Corey. That's great that they've been able to share their insight, their intel with you guys. Hey, stick around, because I think I called this earlier in the night. So yes, when I said earlier in the night, ladies and gentlemen, that it all hinges on this next week, I meant it, and we'll show you why in a few moments' time. I was just about to go to Luke Page, and he's exited again. So let's go and have a chat. And hang on. Bondi's also escaped as well. So we had Bondi here, we had Luke Page here. I've obviously spent too long talking to the Riot boys. They've got beauty sleep to have. I don't know what's going on there. So let's go to the two Ardleys, because it's nice to have them back on the grid. Although, let's be honest, it didn't start all that well. Kai got caught up in garbage on the opening lap. Ashton, you had to start from pit lane, but by gee, that's a nice recovery up into 14th.
Yeah, it was not expected at all, but I just pushed. I thought I had nothing to lose, so saw Kai didn't have the best start with people around him, so I thought, it's kind of good for me staying out of the trouble, and managed to cross the line at the end with just a 1X, which was just dipping a wheel at one of the corners, so pretty happy with that.
Especially on a track this long, but also tight in the infield section, especially with a field that deep and the potential to run into trouble, to keep your nose clean that well played to you. Question, because it's the first time I've mentioned the surname Ardley in a while. Where the bloody hell have you two been, please?
That's a good question. We've sort of just been not here. I guess I just forgot about sim racing. Like, I did a little here and there, but I never really thought I should go out and race. But Kai did a GT4 race a month back, and I thought, you know what, let's just do this. And then Kai decided to buy a sim, so I helped him assemble that, and in time for tonight, and we thought we'd just do tonight and maybe next week as a bit of a experience gainer.
Indeed, with a view to things to come, obviously, although that being said, it's going to be a new learning curve for everybody next year, isn't it? I might bring Kai in at this point, get a comment from both of you. 992.2 on its way, ABS traction control. How you feeling about that? Nice to hear from you too, Kai. Nice to see you out there, mate.
Yeah, good to see you again, Zach. Yeah, I just say we should just go back to the 991. All the stupid TC, ABS stuff, don't need it. Just go back to a fun car.
Yeah. Funny you should say that. Chapo's trying to get a word in, so I reckon he's in agreement with you too. But I'll get to you in a sec, Chapo. Hold on. Luke Page was very vocal about that last week. Just the debate between, or the argument surrounding going too far with regards to creature comforts and taking away from natural driver ability and talent.
Yeah, I think there's a reason we have the Porsche Cup Championship. There's a reason people race it, and there's also a reason people race GT3. And the reason to race Porsche Cup and GT3 are very different things.
That's true. That's true. Same applies to you, by the way. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, you got caught up in 2 incidents, mate, but still 26th in a field this stacked. Not bad.
Yeah, the first one was my fault. Got there, like Ashton said, completely different rig now. Built it up in the past week. Big thanks to the guys at simrigs.com. Gave me all the gear. It's been a big help. Yeah, just locked up going into turn 3 or something, and wasn't a good look and knocked a bloke off. Sorry about that. But after that, sort of got used as a ping pong ball myself, and yeah, it wasn't a night too great. Got a drive through, just 4Xs everywhere. So yeah.
Not ideal, but again, at least you're able to get to the finish. There are a couple of people that weren't that lucky. Ashton, I'm interested in your comments because Kai's obviously mentioned his thoughts on the 992.2. Where do you sit with it?
Well, those times when they were using the 991.2, I mean, that's when I was in up-and-comers, so I never really drove that. So driving this car now, I like it, but you know, going into a quick test drive session and driving the old one, it's so much better than this. I don't see why there's not an alternate series that could be run, even by iRacing themselves, that just runs that old one.
It's interesting because now we've got to ask everybody that's still in the room how they feel about it as well. But we'll do that. I'll get to all you guys in just a moment. Obviously, Ben and Hayden are sticking here, desperately looking forward to having a look at the championship points, which I think we're on the cusp of being able to do, by the way. And of course, I'm looking forward to getting Chapo's insights on both GT4 and the Porsches. But I don't mind that idea, and it's almost worth, I mean, doing away with. It'd be interesting to see who does what, who leans left, who leans right. And again, I don't want to reinvent the wheel here, boys, but we always plant the seeds and talk about the ideas that we could put forward to the committee to discuss with regards to scheduling and planning for the new term, right? Maybe that's an option. Maybe you go, yeah, okay, righto. You guys that want to go with the more natural style of car without the driver features, the driver aspirations, the traction controls, and the ABS braking. Maybe we put you in your own class, and then anybody that wants to go with those automatic features, maybe they go in their separate class instead of Elite and Open. Maybe that's the way we do it.
I'm open to that.
Yeah, I think if that's what's happening, then you see Kai and I in the races a lot more.
Well, yeah, food for thought, absolutely. I'll be interested because, again, we were talking last night. I did plant the seed with regards to Benny Pedersen chiming in and saying that Discord doesn't mind freezing with today's update. Is that why I had to log back in on my computer? I don't know. It's been weird the last couple of days. I've never had to log back into my Discord account as many times as I've had to this week. That's an interesting one because last night our conversation, boys, was more with regards to Adelaide, right? Adelaide's launching in a couple of weeks. It's going to be on the server, of course. It's going to be the platforms of the Australian Sim Racing Group's Logitech G Pro Invitational Supercar Series. It's going to be their grand finale venue. I did suggest last night that opening week next year, all categories, all nights, go to that venue. Yes or no? Would you like to see the Porsches tearing around their first round next year?
No reason they shouldn't. No reason at all.
Ashton?
Definitely, yeah.
Now, on the back of tonight's result, will we see you on the grid for the Super Sprint at Interlagos next week? And if not, what other nights and categories might you be eyeing off as we wind down our year and head towards the checkered flag next Friday night?
Way more interested in a sprint race. These feature races just tick me off. The one thing goes wrong, you haven't got a chance to do anything. So if there's the sprint races, 2-3 races, you get all the opportunity to have a good race. And generally that just suits my driving style a lot more. Just hammer and tongs. That's the way it is.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, with Kai and I both coming from karting in the earlier years, it's all heat racing. So having multiple opportunities for different things to happen just makes the racing heaps more fun for the driver and who's watching. So I think it's just better format overall.
All right, very interesting stuff. I don't disagree. I think Sebring lends itself to good racing of this length, but we could have definitely used a sprint round in the GT4 before it at Hockenheim. Jesus. Gentlemen, great to catch up with you. Thanks for dropping on by. Well done. Good to see you back on the grid. Hopefully it goes well next week, and obviously you've given us some tremendous food for thought with regards to next term, because not everybody likes change, but that's now 3 drivers opposed to the ABS and the traction control, which is interesting because there's a lot of people that would welcome that from a comfort standpoint, but then again, it does take away the challenge, and that's what a lot of us are here for. So good to get some intel from you. Good to see you both back in the rig too, by the way. It's been far too long between drinks.
Yeah, well, cheers, Zach. Thanks for thanks for everyone for putting on a good race.
Let's bring in Chapo at this particular point in time, if he's there, and he might be able to unmute himself. There he is. Hello. The great man down there in the City of Churches. I'm just going to put these 2 blokes out of their misery first up, if I can, Chapo. Have a look at this. Have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. The championship standings, even keel. Ben Pedersen, Hayden Smith, not that one. That one. 418 apiece, ladies and gentlemen. It comes down to the finale next week. You could not have asked for a better scenario. Have a look at that. 418 plays 418, and Betty Pedersen on top, 62 tonight. And it's by virtue of that count back and that count back only that he goes to the top. And the bonus point for pole position helped him get to the top step of the summit there by the barest of possible margins. This is madness. This is ridiculous. 418 apiece. And by the way, I'm getting a heads up with regards to next week and into Lagos too, gentlemen. There might be some inclement weather on the way, so you might want to go and do some wet weather testing as well as some dry weather testing. But how do you feel about that, boys? It all hinges on next week. You couldn't ask from a broadcaster standpoint, from a spectator standpoint, you couldn't ask for more than what you guys have delivered there. The way you've gone about it, not the same in any way, shape or form, but to be 418 apiece after 9 weeks, once you've taken the 2 drop rounds into consideration, you wouldn't fair dick and read about it.
Game on. Full send. So contradictory to the two other gentlemen that were just in here that said they enjoy sprint rounds.
Yeah.
With the points system looking like this, sprint rounds suck.
No.
I guess say again, Benny.
I said you never know what could happen, mate.
That's right.
Rules with the reverse grids.
Especially if we've got a chance of a sprinkling too. That's going to it's going to be pretty interesting. You'll probably love it, Zach, and Matt. You used to love it up here, but maybe not. Maybe not us so much.
my vocal cords will need to be a hell of a lot stronger than what they are at the moment, and hopefully the headache that I've been dealing with all night will have well and truly buggered off by that point as well. But that is the predicted weather forecast for Interlagos for next week. The chance of precipitation in there is high, and the clouds are high as well. So there you go. Particularly looking like it'll be a wet heat first up next Thursday night for you, ladies and gentlemen. I can't give you the feature race forecast, but I can give you the race forecast for Heat 1 and the consolation, but not the feature. Thank you, Adam Lavis, for that intel. That is fantastic. So pack the brolly just in case, ladies and gentlemen. You might need it next week. Boys, well done. 418 apiece. Just quickly, because it was a contentious talking point, and again, I don't want to hold Chapo or Schmitty up any longer than I have to, but it was interesting to get the comments of the Ardleys, not so much on the race format. They've touched on that already. But ABS traction control, yay or nay? Where do you sit on that? How do you feel about the fact that that's what iRacing's going to implement as the new norm from next year? Yes, sure, it's in line with real-world Porsche racing. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But do you like their idea of giving the option of, if you want to run without it, do so?
It's a good option. Ultimately, you're going to we're probably going to find that you're going to be faster with it on, at least to some, even in minor extents, probably what we'll find. Ultimately, I'm a one-trick pony that only drives this car. I'm a little bit upset that it's there. Is it going to stop me from running the car? No, I'm just going to run the new car and I'll just get used to it in the exact same way as what I did with the last Porsche update, right? So it's rinse and repeat of that. I'll run it. It'll be officials. Yeah.
Benny, I'll get your thoughts on that in just a moment. But Hayden, it was interesting to get your thoughts there because you like the car, so the changes aren't going to stop you from racing. But are there any particular circuits that you just put on the blackball list? Because if this was a GT4 race and Nick Fodiatis was in the server, he would not be on the grid for this circuit. He hates it that much.
I sort of pick and choose with officials. I'll do every GSRC race, but I pick and choose my officials a lot. So quite often this is the only race I actually run for the week. So I do that a lot already with officials. This track I actually enjoy Sebring, so yeah, I have a lot of fun here.
Yep, and so do we. And that's the thing, from a spectacle standpoint. And I made the point with Hockenheim as well. Like, it's one of the more revered circuits in the world. It's probably got more of a world stature, recognition these days through iRacing, because you don't see it as prominently in world motorsport now that Formula 1 and MotoGP and World Superbike don't visit there. And it's a good driving circuit, right? But it's a terrible spectacle from a spectator standpoint. GT4, they spread out far too thinly for our liking, and it was a very tough sell for 40 minutes. This circuit, 45 cars, there was always going to be something to talk about no matter where you looked. That's the difference. Benny, your thoughts on all of that before I let you boys go?
I echo the sentiment. I'm a little disappointed, but I understand why they're sort of, mirroring what's happening with the actual car. I mean, it is a simulator after all. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting into a new car, yeah, but ABS, I'm a little bit of a purist, so but we have to drive it, so we will.
Indeed, we will, and it'll be interesting to get the assessments of you guys in the early couple of weeks of next term, once you've had some time to get acquainted with it, exactly how you feel about it. It's going to be very interesting indeed. Boys, get out of here. Well done. Enjoy. Not just the spoils of victory tonight and the celebrations that go with that, but also the preparation and no doubt the banter that'll be attached to Interlagos next Thursday night. We cannot wait to see what you guys bring to the table for the grand final. Go well.
Cheers, thanks.
Yeah, cheers, boys. See ya.
And might I say, Matt Schmidtke, right, when you look at the fact that the Toyota 86s, the Trans Ams, the GT4s, they're all wrapped up. So too is the Supercar Elite Split. Thank Christ there's a live grand finale in the main course slot next Thursday night. Be here for that one, ladies and gentlemen. You will not want to miss it. Righto, Chapo. Sorry, let's get to you right now. Obviously, Bondi and Paige, you're not as patient as you, and I appreciate that. Let's have a chat about what's coming up, because there's a lot to pick apart with what the boys have just said, and I'll look forward to your thoughts on that in just a moment. But talk to me firstly about your experience out there tonight. Solid recovery in GT4 firstly, I thought, at Hockenheim.
Yeah, I was happy with that. I got home with about 7 minutes left of quali, so it was there were some limitations when it came to quali, and got one lap in and then wobbled the second lap and it was all over. So I had to start from a bit further back, but once we got started and I found my rhythm, the pace was really good, and throughout the race it was. I think from lap 4 onwards, it was I was about 6 seconds behind the leaders, and I finished up 5 seconds behind them. So it's it's a bit annoying that I couldn't quite catch them, but good run through the field regardless.
Indeed, and then obviously very quickly out of that car. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Right, we talk about GT4. That's already wrapped up. There's no Muir, there's no Chapman, there's no grand finale, there's no, showdown to really build up the hype there. So you guys can go and have fun at Le Mans next week and throw caution to the wind. Will you be on the grid for the Circuit de la Sarthe, or are you going to put your focus towards Interlagos instead?
Oh, the idea is I'll be there. I think just looking at it, there's a bit of a punt to get third place, and I was doing the math the other day because I've not been screwed around this season. I might end up without a plaque. You know, it'll be the first season I haven't got one. So I want to see if I can snag one in something now. But I've made a bit of a rod for my own back by not rocking up. So yeah, we'll give it a crack. See how we go. It's endurance round, so a few more points. I'm not convinced what the Porsche is going to be like on the straights, but you know, we'll see.
Well, that's exactly right. The Porsches, compared to the Mustangs, you would expect the Mustangs to really hold sway going down the Mulsanne, but the sweepy, slower bits of the circuit might just be around the back to the Porsche's advantage. We'll wait and see. Talk to me about this one, mate. Nice recovery in the end, and nice push up through the field. Really, to stay out of trouble, to avoid incidents, to put a lap together late that puts you midfield. That was asking for trouble from the outset, but you drove hard, you drove well, strategy worked to your advantage, you brought it home.
Yeah, once again, happy with that. Was able to really cut through the field in that first lap, and that was the determinant there. I made up 11 spots in the first lap. So, and part of that was, pushing through, and part of that was guys, going off and being able to avoid that. But that certainly made the rest of the race easier, and then it was just sort of methodically, working through. I still early on was a bit wobbly, trying to work out where the downshifts were and losing the rear. So, let Eli back pass, but, then was able to pick up the pace a bit more as the race went on and stay in front of him, even though he did a big fuel save, which was good. So, I'm happy with that effort. It's a tough field and a relatively tough track to sort of learn on the fly. There's not much hope for me in these. So I'll be out there for Interlagos, because Interlagos Super Sprint just sounds like potentially my favourite thing ever. We'll be out there for fun, and that takes a little bit of pressure off too.
If you don't mind me saying, I mean, there's still an outside chance of a top 10 in this championship, Chapo. Even though, I mean, you've got no drop rounds up your sleeve, you missed 3 in the middle, you didn't take too many points away from the home round at the Bend or the sprint round on the streets of Belle Isle. The last few rounds have been pretty good, though. Still an outside chance of a top 10 finish. Really, missing 3 rounds and having 2 dodgy ones partway through didn't really help matters.
No, I didn't. I knew that would sort of be the case this season. There was a lot on the plate, and I couldn't put too much time or focus into it. So I've just been showing up, where I can, and I've been trying to show up the last few weeks, just enjoy it. I think it's only 18 points off P8, so there's definitely a chance to get in that top 10, which is I guess probably what the goal will be at this point. Although realistically, I probably just want to have fun at Interlagos and see if we can get a result. I think I've won there before, so hopefully we can keep that going and find that pace pretty easily.
A fair bit to pick apart, because obviously Interlagos weather, mixed bag, 2 guys fighting to the championship, Denchi talking about, hang on, this looks interesting, I might have to throw my hat back into the ring. All those different elements will come into play next week. There'll be a couple of people out just purely for fun, because it is the final race of the campaign. And it's different when you go out there for fun. It's different when you don't go out there thinking about the equations and scenarios. We talk about that enough with you with regards to previous championships that you've been involved in, GT4, Formula V, etc. But where are the goalposts? What would you like to do to achieve next Thursday night to finish the season on a positive note and go away feeling happy with what you've done?
How many races we've got in Enduro? And 3 super sprints. So ideally 4 race wins a sack. But if I can get,
not asking for too much at all. Not being greedy at all, Cobo. No,
not being greedy at all. I mean, like in the GT4, like I'd like to try and if I can get that win and snag my way just into a bronze, that'd be nice. And the Porsches, like I'd like to get a race win, but as long as it's fun out there, and a bit of weather would be fun around there too. And with Interlagos, so just hustle the big boys, I think is the play, and ideally snag a win throughout those 3.
Well, that would be nice. One's better than none.
Yeah.
And when there's 4 on the line on the table, that's 25% of the quota. You can't ask for much more than that. That'd be being greedy. Very nicely done. What'd you make of GT Pro Mount Panorama last week, by the way? I mean, it was very nice to see you put the feet up nice and early and leave the tough task of bringing it home at midnight to Lewis Greathead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was, I spent that day just trying to find comfort and pace. And, I got there and, we had this really twitchy setup for most of the day. And the other guys said, no, there's this other one that's, much more stable. And, it's probably slow across the top. We tried it. It was just night and day across the top. And you weren't really losing much down the straights. I think that, and found a lot of comfort in that, found decent enough pace. Didn't quite have the pace of, the top guys, particularly in those early parts of the stint where the tyres are cold. And, I just don't have as much confidence on the colds, I think, as some of the guys. But was able to, make up a spot in my stint and hold that position. Obviously, caught myself 5 seconds, which was really annoying.
Yes.
For weaving,
Yes.
I didn't hear race control say that it was all pulling away and that sort of thing. Copped that. But otherwise was a good stint, and we did what we had to do to stay in that 5th place spot. There wasn't really much chance of us moving forward given the points situation, but we could have moved backwards, and we didn't. We did a good job there. So I'm very happy with that. We had a good season. There was a blip here and there. My blips were largely pace related in some tracks, and every now and then we had an off, but largely a pretty good season in that field. And I think we can walk away with our heads held high with a couple of teams in the top 5.
Very nicely done. Now, before we let you go, it would be remiss of me not to get your thoughts on what the boys were just discussing. The arrival of the new car, the way in which that's going to be implemented. All current users get hold of that for nothing. So I guess there is a caveat attached to it. That's
there's
the
a reason for that.
But what are your thoughts? Because you were very quick to get on the button. You wanted to jump in, and I thought, no, let's not get this. Let this get out of hand. Let's get everybody to have their opinion in their own, conversation time slot. But it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. There's going to be some people that are going to love it, and there's going to be others that'll loathe it.
Yeah, I wasn't actually trying to talk. It was just my thing fluttering. I did want to talk because it is. I do think it's bullshit. To be honest. The fun of these cars comes from, the fact there is no TC, and ABS, and that's how they drive, and you can leave them around as such. And I'm just fully in agreement with the other boys. If you want to drive GT3, go drive GT3. This is a unique experience, and a unique platform. Because of those, that lack of assistance that will now be taken away, and it's a very it's very different driving and very different racing. I think GT3 racing tends to be worse than Porsche racing from an actual spectacle standpoint, because you don't have that as large a difference. You're not able to push a dive bomb if you're better on the brakes, or lock up a brake and go wide to the same degree. And it also you obviously have to be highly skilled to be super fast in a GT3, as you see with those Top Eclipse boys and that sort of thing. But it is very different skill set, and it's a different I think when you're going really fast in a GT3, it's sometimes less comfortable and a bit less fun. Try to really balance that that traction control and that ABS to be triggering at the right moment, and not flicking out and that sort of thing. So a little disappointed by that. We'll see. I'll have a bit of a think over the off season as to how much actual time I'll have next year, and what cars I'll run, and whether we'll just jump in different series for a bit of fun as I have this season, or whether we make a bit of a push. But But yeah, we'll see what the car's like. But
Yeah.
there's already a Porsche, 911 that has traction control and ABS, and it's just feels like a mirror of that. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I completely understand that. And that's the thing. Next term, that'll be the first point of conversation for anyone that jumps into the booth after a Porsche Cup race is get their intel as to how they wrap their head around it and how they find it, whether they like it or not. But again, there's something to be said. That the club has at its discretion here the leverage to say, righto, well, instead of splitting it up into elite and open, let's split it up into those that want to run the non-traction control and ABS and those that do. And if you want to run one over the other, that's your choice. And then we'd have an on-track comparison of how the two stack up against each other. I think I'm happy to entertain that idea, Chapo.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea. You could do, the older and newer cars, and have drivers choose which one they want to run. Have sort of a form of multi-class about it. But yeah, no, I'd be interested to see how that looks. I think it would create a very interesting scenario, and I don't hate the concept.
Well, the Ardley boys have already said sign us up for that if it arrives, if that comes to fruition.
Yeah, I would be interested to see who signs up for what in that situation too. It could have quite different fights at the top end of town for each of them. And might be a way of splitting up those packs, in a way that's not pro and am in the same way that we do currently. That would be interesting. And we could in a way do it in a pro and am sort of way, where the pro guys do the no TC or whatever, and the am guys have it. Which might create its own intrigue with some of the am drivers being further up and fighting with those pro guys with a bit of a different setup. So I think that there is a few things that you can play around from that perspective. The difficulty with that is, as much as a lot of the pro guys don't want to run TC and ABS, they're often also the guys that do a few officials here and there and that sort of thing too, and that won't be available to them. So there's probably a few things to think about for the club over the break.
Indeed. Don't worry, folks. Don't adjust your sets. Don't touch your dials. You're watching a second replay of the race that played out a few moments ago, because we've been talking that long post-race as per usual. And here they were trying to tighten up the post-race shows at the end of the season here, Chapper. It was never going to happen. Adelaide, for opening week, thoughts on that? I don't mind the idea, because it used to be the launch pad of the Australian Motorsport season. There's an opportunity here for us to make it the opening of the sim racing year.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it'd be great. I'm looking forward. I haven't managed to get tickets to the grand final at this point, but I'll work on what we do there, see if I can find some hanging around. The city's abuzz. The traffic is horrible, but for some cars to go fast, you must go slow. So
apparently,
apparently so. But it's big. I think 50% up on ticket sales this year, so it should be a massive event. Really looking forward to it.
I was going to say you might be going slower at the moment, but you're still faster than Queensland. Don't worry about that. Although that being said, and I said it last night, and there's a couple of other people that agree with me, I'm not buying this whole grand final wank, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not the four drivers that they've got that are in contention that are on the grid and them only. Every other bloke's still got their ticket there. It just, it's like going out in a non-championship capacity. I don't know. I'm not sold on it, because this is not football, and this is not cricket, and this is not, rugby union, and it's not basketball or any of those ball sports that you would normally associate with it. I have a huge disdain for the way in which we just go about doing what America does, just because, well, America does it, and having no other justification for it. So, I mean, it obviously works for their entertainment, theatre narrative, and, drumming up the interest, or whatever the case may be, or just selling the event. But I, as a purist, I don't buy it. I'm just no.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, it works for the great state of South Australia, which I'm happy about.
Of course it does.
Yeah, I think I mean, having followed that format with like the Australian NASCAR Championships as well, it is it can be a frustrating format too. I mean, in some ways more so in NASCAR than it is with supercars because NASCAR is so flip on a dime, very much luck related. Like all that sort of thing. At least with supercars, like you can get taken out, but at least they're going to get a penalty and that sort of thing. And it's there is, I think, still a little bit less luck involved in who's going to win and win at the end of the day. But it's always going to be an argument for purists, and I think my view is probably run a secondary sort of numbers along the side as well. Where you've got, a points championship and an actual final series sort of championship, a sort of minor premier sort of situation, right?
Yeah, well, in that particular instance, Rock Feeney was classed as the minor premier, but that was 3 rounds ago. I would be very interested, like you, to have a look at what the championship points would look like at the end of this weekend based on the old traditional format.
Yeah, absolutely, because it does, devalue everyone else in the field to some degree, and
absolutely,
even if they've had otherwise a very good season, and that suddenly is their race suddenly is no longer followed, and I think it can also, everything we've seen in the States, it can really devalue the rest of the season as a whole, leading into that playoff section, and I think that's like. The way that they've done their Netflix style series is sort of emblematic of that, in that they've only followed drivers throughout the playoffs. So you go, well, okay, if you're a new NASCAR fan, are you just expected to only care once the playoffs come along? And the same will go for supercars to some degree.
Yeah, we talk about having incentives, and for the guys that aren't in that ticketed for. Where is the incentive? Oh, wait, we've still got contracts to adhere to. We've still got sponsors to engage with. We've still got this, that, and the other. But really, what else? So, it's a contentious one to the point where NASCAR's actually going back to the old school. Here's the 10-race chase, and I'd much be more in support of that. Righto, last one for you. Because obviously we've already spoken about next week. You mentioned earlier that you've been popping up and just racing for fun, right? Now, that's a great, sort of mantra to have, Chapo. And I know some guys that's just the sole reason they get involved. But you're one of those guys that we've also see you rock up with intention to compete and race for titles, because at the end of the day, the competitive mist descends very quickly once you jump aboard the cockpit, right? So talk to me about, and I mentioned it earlier, that psychological aspect of things, right? Because it can be very disheartening, for lack of better words, when it doesn't go to plan, and you are in the mix for a title, and you are very, very hell-bent on securing those results because they mean so much in the context of an overall 10-week fight. But from a psychological standpoint, and just from a stamina standpoint as well, how are you enjoying that aspect of knowing that there's less pressure on to rock up and just have a steer because time allows in the schedule for you to do so, and again, you keep match fit and you have fun?
Yeah, I mean, I would much prefer to be for a title. I would like to be in that mix and, really for the fight over the top guys in the points. But, it does sort of take a bit of pressure off it. There's a fair bit more, concentration, and, you need a bit more practice time than 10 or 15 minutes in quali to really fight at the top. And it, can mean that you miss other things, whether that be work or cheering or events or whatever. So, there is a benefit to that there's a little bit more flexibility, and I just don't have the time at the moment to truly focus and put in on one series. But yeah, hopefully next year, it'll be, I'll have to sort of make that decision. It's going to be very, very busy up until March. So whether or not I'll have a chance to do it in that sort of first season, I'm not sure. It would depend whether I do any other national series. I'll probably continue with the NASCAR Nationals, whether there is that national sort of GT Pro setup, or even whether you try for supercars or something if I can work out how they work. It'll all be, a little bit dependent on that as well, because they will also have to take, precedence on time to some degree. Probably in particular NASCAR, because I usually rock up with very little practice to those races, and it means that you're not as competitive as you want to be. And that's been a fair bit of fun this season. So we'll see what it looks like, and it is a different mindset. You come in with a few less expectations. When you qualify down the grid, you go, all right, you beauty, it's going to be a fun race. Let's work our way through and see how far we can get. But then on the other hand, you look at that GT4 race and go, well, throughout the race, I was the quicker car and wasn't able to get up there because I was too far down the grid, because I started too far down the grid. So it's got its pluses, it's got its minuses. I prefer to be punching through the field than trying to hold it up front. But on the other hand, I prefer my name at the top of the list.
And that's fair too. I 100% get that. But it's interesting, isn't it? Here I am trying to look at it as think, oh yeah, it can't be all bad. Sometimes we do lose ourselves in the competitive side of this, so it might actually be nice to turn up and just be relaxed and chilled about it, and do so in a non-competitive, here to have fun and whatever happens sort of mentality about it. And yet Chapo's like, no, I kind of wish I was still in contention for a title. But that's, different horses for courses. Lovely to catch up with you, mate. Enjoy the weekend. And more importantly, enjoy just how much, easier the transit to work is going to be once all the traffic is buggered off. And the streets are back in working order for residential and otherwise purposes. But it's a very busy time of year over there, and we understand that it's become somewhat of an epicenter of motorsport. Mallala, the Bend, and the Adelaide Parklands in recent weeks. A lot of hype around there with regards to the Australian Superbikes kicked it off a couple of weeks ago, the Adelaide Rally, and a few other things too. So hopefully once all that traffic, that clutter has dispersed and exited out of South Australia, hopefully the commute to work will be far less stressful. Look forward to seeing you on the grid whatever happens in grand final week, mate. Always nice to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, mate.
Matt Schmidtke, can we just bring back up on screen those results from the elite split from that race, please? And because I just want to analyse the margins there for everybody, just to showcase for everybody at home. There it is, like 8.5 seconds between first and third, 8 seconds between Hayden Smith and Luke Page. That's the dominance that Riot Sim Racing had over the course of 20 laps tonight. Just phenomenal stuff. Championship points, we've already shown you the elite split. 4-8 apiece, the two Riot Sim Racing boys, neck and crop, goes into next week. The open split, as I suspected, there's the margin, it's 92. And then you take the 57, because if Paul Wilson has a shocker next week, he gets 57. And you add that up, and he goes to 521, and he is unassailable. Irrespective of what happens next week, Paul Wilson is the champion in the Porsche Open Split as well. So Riot Sim Racing have got one. They've got their hands on the second. We just don't know which driver's going to grab gold and who's going to have to settle for silver. Greg's got a little bit of breathing space over his teammate Dale Atkins, 372 and 338. So that's he's a 710 as far as the team bragging rights are concerned for those guys. 331 for Stephen Gallacher, 325 for Jason Wilkins, Christian Koch, 315 makes up the top six. GT4 points, incidentally, have also been updated. And Andrew Dyson, no surprise, right there. Oh, no, there they are. Scroll up to the top. There we go. 119 points. Signed, sealed, delivered, secured, locked and loaded. It's done. Andrew Dyson's your champion. Richard King moves up to third at the expense of his teammate Jeff Adams. It's on, isn't it? Have a look at those minor placings. Jesus. And Moz Moroz has come back into the mix as well. Although his penalty hasn't been applied yet. We might have to tell Adam Lavis about that match. Mickey, he didn't get the invoice for the switching of manufacturers. So expect 57 to become 29.5. Oh, sorry, 28.5. When Adam Lavis gets wind of the fact that he drove the Porsche tonight. Even though he's got the McLaren there sitting next to him in the logo column. Interesting.
Yeah, well...
Anyway.
Adam can get the credit for doing the points, but he can also get the credit for the mistakes, because I definitely didn't do these. That's why it's incorrect. So just, Adam did it all right, we'll blame him.
Okay, so hang on. Righto. So there you have it. Matchmaking Motorola just jumped himself in. Yeah, three different manufacturers in the top three. 61, 45, 41, 23. So 3-point swing. Richard King jumps up. Jeff Adams down. But Guy Leach has a nice buffer to play with in second to secure second for himself. 275 for Chapo, 273 for Adam Lavis. That's on in earnest, that battle, because you got third, fourth, fifth, and sixth covered by 14 points. Game on next week when we get to Le Mans. Bondi, he's jumping up too nicely as well into position number 7. So there you have it. And look at Schmitty, just Chicken Schmitty doing his best work on the fly there. How good's that? So yeah, Bondi will be the beneficiary of that, and he'll move up into 7th. And Brett Barker 8th. Ray Hunter and Malcolm, despite not being on the grid the last couple of weeks, still round out the top 10. There you have it. Very, very good. Apologies, folks. Still trying to shake off this bloody headache. A rest and a lie down will help, but I've still got Black Friday shopping to do tomorrow, and I'm sure the rest of you do too. So let's look at starting to wrap this one up. Schmitty, much more pulsating Porsche affair, made up for the lack of stimulation that GT4 gave us, but next week, Le Mans, different story for them. And Interlagos, I mean, already good at the best of times, but with weather on the way, cannot wait. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. I was waiting for a comment from Matt Schmidt there, but he just
let me drive. I had my microphone muted, I did.
Left me hanging because he had his mic muted. You were going to say?
Yes, Interlagos in the wet last time we were there. Very, very good racing, very entertaining. So I'm expecting them to turn it on again.
Absolutely. We do it with thanks to, and I didn't get to mention this earlier in the night, folks, because we literally jumped straight out of GT4 into Porsche Cup. So let's pay the bills. Disruptive Labs, Waste Options, Trophy AI, PanTec Industries, Sprite and Cider. We've mentioned their new Sprite cider range with the raspberry lemonade. That'll be an absolute top drop. There's no doubt about that. You can't go wrong where raspberry lemonade's involved. Merch.GSRC.inc and Flash Graphics. Brilliant. Good to catch up with you as always, Australia. Good to have Matt Schmidtke in the booth again. 2 nights on the trot for us. He gets to go and race tomorrow night. Joe Baldwin will be in here with me. Let's have a look at what comes your way across Facebook and YouTube, or the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. And we can start to alert your attention to Grand Final week and some earlier starts and broadcast details and whatever else there too. So let's have a look. Skip and slide tomorrow night, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I'm not sure if we've yet confirmed whether that's on the oval or the road course, but that doesn't really matter at this point because it's non-broadcast. It's 2 sprint races at 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Night 5, week 9 action for those of you tuning in at home comes to you from one of our absolute favourites, Barber Motorsport Park, Birmingham, Alabama. 65 minutes the journey, 42 laps, whichever comes first. The Road to Indy NXT Series, sponsored by Disruptive Labs. It's 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. We are live from 8:30 with all the action there. Joe and I will run you through all the news and information. We don't have to do championship points from tonight. That's a nice little caveat that we don't have to carry that over. But we do have to spin the wheel to determine how Matt Schmidtke is going to hold on to his slender lead in the Mountain Men Series, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Mount Panorama Battle, Saturday night, 32 laps the journey there, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. We will determine the car that they will be steering on Saturday night. Any cars you'd like to avoid on that wheel, Schmidtke?
I'm not too familiar with what's on it currently, but the Lotus 49 was on it, and they got picked last week, so that's out. That's good. I don't have to worry about driving that again. Not that we actually ended up driving, because not many people turned up, but I think there's a lot of Formula 1 cars, because there's one Ed in Luthwaite who really wants to drive a Formula 1 car in Mountain Men, so I think there's a couple of them, so maybe one of them.
Very good. Very good point. 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time for that, folks. And we're looking forward to the Indian XT race. But if we can spin the wheel, get you the results from New Hampshire. I often say that we'll bring you the results from New Hampshire, but sometimes Joe Baldwin wants to talk about the Skip Barbers, and sometimes Joe Baldwin does not, depending on his own results within the race. So we may have the results for you tomorrow night, we may not. But one thing's for certain, we'll have all 42 laps of that race from 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. I'm looking forward to that. Fresh off Black Friday shopping, I'll be firing on all cylinders, and my bank account will be bleeding, I'm sure. Then Mountain Men, we've already covered that off. Car of choice determined tomorrow night, we spin the wheel. Monday night, grand final week gets underway. Make a note of that. 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time. We're on air a couple of minutes earlier. We're off to Mount Panorama Bathurst, Toyota 86 Challenge. The great people at Waste Options have been supporting Monday Night Motorsport all year. They support both the entree and the main course. It is the Waste Options GR86 Challenge. It's 45 minutes up from the 10 and 15-minute sprint races that we've seen all through the previous 9 rounds. But that is coming up, 7:30 Eastern. Hope you can join us for that. Because of the earlier start there and the longer race, we want to alert your attention to what follows, because even though we're starting earlier, that has no actual knock-on effect or impact on our GT3 race. In the past, we have bumped the start of the main course to 9 o'clock. We're not doing that this time round. It is still 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. I mean, we're going to finish later anyway because it's the Le Mans. The time that we lose in the overlap from qualifying to race and the form-up procedure, etc., etc. It'll be pushing 10:30 by the time the checkered flag waves at the Circuit de la Sarthe. 90 minutes the journey at the 24 Hours of Le Mans venue. It'll be interesting to see what we get weather-wise. 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. All 3 titles still on the line. Am, Pro-Am and Pro. Our focus will be the Pro split. Adam Lavis and I with you for that. Tuesday night, as far as I'm aware, no broadcast. I'm not available even if there is. I'm just putting it out there. I've done enough fill-in shifts the last couple of weeks. Tuesday night, I normally go and play trivia, so I'm looking forward to my chicken schnitty and chips over at the Club Parkview in Goodna, although I've got to give them a bit of a spray, actually. The people that put the trivia questions together, they cocked up big time this week. But it doesn't matter. Created International Raceway, Rallycross, that is the grand finale venue for those guys. That is Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It's followed by the Pro 2 trucks from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. That's the 2025 incarnation of the Roval. 3 sprint races, 9:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Wednesday night, Schmidtke's doubling up again next week. He's here with Dan Yeaman on Wednesday night. It'll be nice for Yeaman to be back, but that is dead rubber night, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing up for grabs. Even the V8 dev split is almost a foregone conclusion. Johnny Banach's got one hand on that title too, but Trans Am's wrapped up. Andrew Dyson's got the championship. The Pro split, Sammy Blacklock's got that wrapped up in the supercars. But we've got a double header from Phillip Island, which will be compulsory viewing because it always is, because it's Phillip Island. We know the sort of quality racing it produces. And it'll be, I wish we were there for the GT4s tonight, actually. It'll be 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time with the main course from 9 o'clock. Hope you can join us for that. On a dead rubber Wednesday night, we're going to call that. Thursday night, not much better, actually, because 2 of the 3 titles have been decided. But the main course will deliver the goods because we're off to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Brazil, the Interlagos Circuit, Sao Paulo, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the 3-sprint format, super sprint format of the, 3-race super sprint format of the PanTek Industries Porsche Cup, and that will bring the curtain down on an epic season. Right Sim Racing, I've got one hand on the title, as we say, but it's just a matter of which driver is anointed as the new king of Porsche racing on the platforms of the GSRC, who goes to the top of the summit. Will it be Ben Pedersen or Hayden Smith? We wait to find out and we cannot wait for that. So 7:45, actually no, make a note of that, sorry, Thursday night next week we start 7:25 as well, because the Porsche race is an hour long, longest race of the season for them. So again, the knock-on effect is that the Porsche racing starts at 9 o'clock, but we start 15 minutes earlier to cover the fact that we are at Le Mans. And again, we have that overtime at the end of that race as well, which could have a knock-on effect as well. It could be a very tight turnaround post-race from the GT4s to gritting up bang on 9 o'clock at Le Mans, because it is the super sprint format. So make a note of that. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The format procedure won't be too far after that. Then, of course, the 60-minute race and the overtime attached with that. You're probably looking at a 15-lap race there, no change. Although I'm not sure of the time difference between GT3 and GT4, so you might even scrape in with 14 laps, no change. And then, of course, on to Interlagos in Brazil. So we've got a rematch of the 1998 FIFA World Cup final next week. We've got France versus Brazil. France for the entree and Brazil for the main course. That's going to be fantastic. 7:30 Eastern, so we're on air at 7:25, then into the Porsches at 9 o'clock. Post-race show to follow that. Schmitty and I will be here past 11 o'clock. It'll be absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, on the Friday night, our main course offering will be from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And again, it's an extended race. It's 90 minutes of the journey on that occasion to bring the curtain down on the finale of the Indy NXT series and the entire year of programming on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, with one exception. One exception. Put December 14 in your diary. December 14, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 on the West Coast, 9:30 in New Zealand, because for the first time in Australian Open World Nationals history, we're going to hold the event on a Sunday night. Yep, Sunday night prime time, up against the opening match of the Big Bash. I'm not mad. But anyway, it's better than, of course, running into Christmas and having people not being able to turn up because of other commitments. But a Sunday night, 7:30, the race start 8 o'clock, post-race show to follow that. We're producing the broadcast again, which I'm bloody delighted about because it never mucks up when we do it. 7:30, the Australian Open World Nationals. Stick around and stay tuned next week because Sinker and Josh Zuno will be here to confirm the venue and the format of that Interclub Challenge that we have with the boys from SRW. And also, of course, I can't remember the other one. It's not coming to me at the moment.
FDL, Formula Drivers League.
FDL, that's right. I knew F was in there somewhere, but I didn't want to F it up. Yes, FDL and SRW for you against the GSRC. And, of course, they knocked us off the summit last time through. We still won the Interclub points battle, but we didn't win the race outright that time round. Our dominance of that event is seriously under threat at the moment, so we'll wait and see what the next instalment of the Australian Open World Nationals brings. But that will be our post-season offering. It will be Sunday, December 14, and we're all going to do a little bit of overtime and enjoy that. Zuno's got the broadcaster lined up. He's got the commentator lined up, and now everybody else has just got to confirm who's joining us from their legs for the play-by-play side of it. But we're looking forward to that. I hope you enjoyed it tonight. Well done to Benny Pedersen. Well done to Hayden Smith. Locked even on 418 points apiece going into the grand finale. Well done to Andrew Dyson. 3 from 3 this week. He's just swept the floor with everybody in his way in terms of cleaning us out, claiming the trophies that were on offer, and doing so without having to reset. And really, I'm so pleased for him that he's been able to get it done this week, because you think about the AFL finals and the NRL finals and the teams that lose a qualifying final and the deflating feeling that is, even though they've got that second chance, you've got to psych yourself up again. You've got to then find another gear and reset to go again. Daiso doesn't have to worry about that, so I'm so pleased he's been able to wrap up the 3 that he had a chance to wrap up this week and do it first attempt. So well done to him. Well done to DPR Racing. Well done to you at home for hanging in there for the ride and coming along for it with us on a Thursday night. We look forward to your company again tomorrow night to bring the curtain down on week 9 of term 4 of 2025. Joe Baldwin will be here. We're off to Birmingham, Alabama. We're looking forward to that. Should note too that Indy NXT race next week 90 minutes as opposed to the usual 65. So make a note of that. We're going to go a little bit longer around the Brickyard, but it is the road course. So we're looking forward to ending the season in a big way at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thursday night motorsport done and dusted. I didn't go around the grounds because, well, I didn't have the TV on tonight to do so. But earlier tonight, the Perth Scorchers got the job done over the Melbourne Renegades in the Women's Big Bash. Perth chasing down 151 in 18.4 overs for the loss of only 6 wickets, so they win by 4 wickets to keep their hopes alive. So that's where things stand as far as real world sport is concerned. The Australian PGA Golf continues tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on 9Gem and Fox Sports around Australia. We're back tomorrow night to get a big weekend underway as far as motorsport is concerned, and wrap up what has been a very busy penultimate week for us throughout the course of Term 4 on the platforms of the GSRC live, exclusive and free across Facebook and YouTube. Hope you enjoyed that. We've enjoyed your company. Certainly the main course is far more stimulating than the entree. You get that sometimes. Next week will be compulsory viewing, though, because we've got 2 legendary circuits and 1 massive showdown between the 2 teammates in the Porsche Cup race. On behalf of Matt Schmidtke and all the crew here, I'm Zach Cabe, and enjoy what's left of your Thursday night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.